It's a robot. Ash is a goddamn robot.
Shockwaves across Silicon Valley as Meta is bracing for another major shakeup. Mark Zuckerberg is preparing to cut jobs with nearly 10% of the workforce on the chopping block. This year has barely begun. The trouble is already knocking at the doors of Meta's employees. Mark Zuckerberg is preparing fresh layoffs, this time inside Meta's Reality Labs division. According to the New York Times, hundreds of jobs could be cut this week. This comes as Meta shifts focus away from the metaverse and doubles down on artificial intelligence. Metaverse is a virtual 3D world where people can interact, work or play. Users navigate it through avatars and virtual or augmented reality technology. The cuts are expected to hit nearly 10% of Reality Labs' workforce, about 15,000 employees. Now, the final number could be higher. An announcement could come as soon as Tuesday. Reality Labs is the unit behind Meta's virtual reality headsets, augmented reality hardware, and its metaverse-based social platform. At present, it represents about 19% of Meta's total global workforce of roughly 78,000 people. The layoffs are expected to fall hardest on teams working on the virtual reality hardware and the metaverse social network. Meta's Chief Technology Officer, Andrew Bosworth, has called an urgent meeting for Wednesday. Staff have been told to attend in person, no exceptions. Bosworth has described it as the most important meeting of the year, a clear signal of high stakes as uncertainty deepens inside Meta's Reality Labs.
This is the most important meeting of the year. All the staff have to attend the meeting. No exceptions. This year likely determines whether this entire effort will go down as the work of visionaries or a legendary misadventure.
Well, amid the reports, Meta has declined to comment. Just last month, the company said it was shifting investment from the metaverse towards AI-powered glasses, while insisting no broader changes were planned. But the numbers tell a different story. Reality Labs has recorded more than $70 billion in losses since it launched in 2020. In the most recent quarter alone, the division lost $4.4 billion, bringing in just $470 million in revenue. This even as Meta posted strong overall results driven by advertising and AI-related investments. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's chief executive, has ordered senior leaders to tighten future budgets. At the same time, he's ramping up spending on artificial intelligence. Zuckerberg has positioned AI as the backbone of Meta's long-term future, signaling a decisive shift in strategy and a new chapter for the tech giant. Meta is investing tens of billions of dollars in data centers and offering lucrative pay packages to lure top AI researchers. This move comes as competition intensifies with rivals like OpenAI and Google. However, not all teams are expected to be affected. According to the report, groups working on augmented reality wearables, including Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses with built-in cameras and AI assistants, are likely to be spared major cuts. For now, uncertainty grips Reality Labs as Meta redraws its future, placing its biggest bets not on the metaverse, but on artificial intelligence. For Meta, employees, the message is unmistakable. The era of bold metaverse bets is giving way to an all-out race for AI dominance. As budgets tighten and jobs hang in the balance, the company's priorities are shifting fast. Meta's future is being rewritten in real time, with artificial intelligence at the center, and thousands left waiting to see where they stand.
New York, New York, New York.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani is a week into the job, and he's showing a shift in his approach to the city's powerful business community. He's projecting a united front with Governor Kathy Hochul, who will be the center of attention next week when she delivers her State of the State address. To break it all down, we're joined by WNYC's Elizabeth Kim in our studios in Lower Manhattan and Jimmy Vielkind up in Albany. Hey, my friends, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Sean.
Happy New Year.
All right, Liz, we're going to start with you. Mamdani has had a busy first week as mayor. He's been building out his new administration, revoking some of his predecessor's policies, even doing a bit of a quirky photo op at a notorious bump in a bike lane at the foot of the Williamsburg Bridge. But you've been interested in how he's approaching the business community. What's going on there?
Well, Mamdani has decided on having a stable of 5 deputy mayors, but he's made the choice not to appoint a deputy mayor of economic development. And that's a stark departure from his predecessors because there has been a deputy mayor of economic development at City Hall going back to until at least the Koch administration. So what instead he has chosen to do is to hire the city's first ever deputy mayor of economic justice. Now, there are concerns among business leaders in whether they will still have a line to City Hall as they traditionally have. You know, Bill de Blasio was criticized as being anti-business, but he did have relationships with developers. His successor, Eric Adams, made a concerted effort to put out a welcome mat for business, you know, to the point that business people stuck by him even through his corruption scandals. This week, I asked Mamdani why he chose not to have a deputy mayor for economic development and who the point person in his administration is for business. Here's what he said.
Their point person will continue to be our deputy mayor for economic justice, Julie Su. We as an administration are focused on not only generating prosperity and continue to do so here in our city, but also in ensuring that that prosperity reaches the lives of each and every New Yorker who calls the city home. And I am excited by this action, not just for what it does to protect consumers and workers, but also, frankly, businesses that are law-abiding. We see so many businesses who are following the regulations as they are, and then they look at someone across the street who's violating them, and then they ask themselves, what am I doing? Why am I the chump at the end of the day?
Why am I the chump? Yeah. Well, for context, this was an event in Queens where Mamdani was announcing a crackdown on junk fees. These are the sneaky charges you get when you book a hotel and you use the Wi-Fi, or maybe when you join a gym or buy concert tickets online.
Yeah. So Liz, let me get this straight. Gone are the days of Amazon subsidies where the city and state offered billions of dollars to lure HQ2 to Long Island City, and hello to the days of City Hall looking at how hard it is to cancel an online subscription. I think that really says a lot about the current moment.
Yeah, sure does. Okay, Hochul, who is running for re-election this year, appeared not once, but twice already with Mamdani. Liz, this is a relationship that political observers are watching pretty closely. Did we get a sense of how they will work together?
It's worth noting that they appeared jointly at one event on congestion pricing where they are aligned. They are both very pro-congestion pricing. And another, which was just yesterday, on public safety, where they are not 100% aligned. Hochul is a law and order Democrat. She's used state funding to hire more police on the subways. Mamdani has been a vocal critic of policing, particularly the way the city responds to incidents involving those suffering from mental health illnesses. And he has said he wants to try a different approach, like creating a civilian department of community safety. At the presser yesterday, which included Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, seeing them all on stage together got me thinking about the tightrope Mamdani has to walk with both. He has a moderate governor, and he also has a moderate police commissioner. And, of course, every time he and Hochul get together, they are asked about their relationship. And this is how Hochul responded.
I get along with most people. The mayor's a nice guy, too. And I think what you talk about is what the people of the city of New York want. When I became governor, there was a long legacy of conflict, turf battles, big egos that were fighting each other, right? Nonstop. It was a constant clash. And I don't think anybody felt safer or better about life as a New York City resident when they saw two leaders in conflict.
I actually love the way she opened up her answer to that. Did you hear that, Jimmy? These are just two very, very nice, well-meaning people who just want to get along. What could go wrong?
Nothing. All is well. Let's quit our jobs.
Okay.
But I do think she has a point. You know, we watched as former mayor and governor Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo clashed a lot. I used to say that Andy and Billy are bickering again. I think my favorite time was when they fought over the carcass of a dead deer in Harlem. Yeah. But, there are certainly some minefields ahead. Hochul just endorsed Representative Dan Goldman for re-election. Mamdani is backing Brad Lander in a Democratic primary against him. And, as we've said here before, and I'm sure we will say again, the big spat this year in Albany is going to have to do with whether or not to raise taxes to pay for the things that, frankly, Mamdani and other progressives want. So we're still very, very early in this dance.
Yeah, and the next steps here are Hochul's. She's going to deliver her State of the State address next week. She's already begun rolling out some proposals. What do we know so far?
Well, we've gotten a few. First was a plan which matches Republicans to exempt up to $25,000 in tips from state income tax. Second, there are now going to be restrictions, she's proposing, on the chat functions in video games like Roblox. So this is kind of a backdoor for people to chat with kids. You know, you think your kid's playing a video game, but really they have a messaging component and they can talk to the world, and there are people who are kind of predating on them. Yeah. So this would require companies to disable chat functions for minors and basically just increase parental controls. Number 3 is a statement that Hochul is going to push for protest-free buffer zones around houses of worship. That comes after the demonstrations at the Park East Synagogue in Manhattan last year. And today she said she would increase penalties and restrictions on 3D printers and their use in making ghost guns, which are those firearms which are almost impossible to trace.
Jimmy, is there some kind of unifying theme here?
Well, not quite. Hochul last year said she was focused on affordability and public safety. And she said, quote, "Your family is my fight." So, you know, you can hang a lot of things off those twin pillars, and we'll see if we hear that quote again this year.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the state legislature kicked off today. What's going on there?
Today. Yeah. It's clear there'll be a lot of talk this year about childcare and how to pay for it. But what really struck me in the opening from the leaders were the tone that they had in sort of nationalizing rhetoric. Here's Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie. He used his remarks to just basically bash President Trump.
This federal government has been chipping away at that foundation that has made our nation so special. They're making it harder for people to stay healthy, put food on the table, and work towards the American dream.
And then on the other side, the top Republican leader in the chamber, Will Barkley, he took a veiled shot at Zohran Mamdani, who is a democratic socialist.
Socialism, wherever it has been tried, has promised fairness and has delivered scarcity. It has promised security and produced stagnation.
So again, lots of national themes, which makes sense to me because it is, after all, an election year.
Yeah, well, that is right. And we're going to have more on what's happening in Albany and the campaigns ahead. Jimmy, Liz, heady days. So much going on. Thanks so much to the both of you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Nearly 15,000 nurses in New York City went on strike today. Included in their list of demands, higher wages, protections from understaffing, and tighter security due to recent attacks at hospitals. The work stoppage impacts staff at New York Presbyterian, Montefiore Medical Center, and the Mount Sinai Health System, some of the largest providers in the city. All are privately run. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency. It is the second time in the last 3 years that the nurses have joined the picket line, and union officials say it's the largest nursing strike in New York City's history. One of those officials joins us now. Nancy Hagans is the president of the New York State Nurses Association. Nancy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Nancy, your union is asking for higher wages, and of course, most labor disputes boil down to money. What is the current average salary of a nurse in New York, and what is the union now asking for?
Okay, and I need to make a correction. Our union are asking for safe staffing because safe staffing saves lives. What we're asking is for patient-nurse ratios to be better because what we gained 3 years ago, management wants to take away. We're also asking for workplace violence protection because, as you know, it has been rampage. And last week, Thursday, there was an active shooter at New York Methodist, which belonged to NYP in Brooklyn, New York. And we also asking for fair wages. Wages, we would negotiate, but patient care, we will not cut corners. I know the media reporting that management is saying that we're asking for 40%, which is false, because the CEO of NYP this last year made $23 million. His 2-day salaries is more than what nurses make in a year.
Now, that's a lot for a CEO, but I want to go back to my first question, Nancy. What is the average annual salary for a nurse in New York City, and what more is your union asking for?
Our average salary is, I would say, about $125,000, $130,000. We put a proposal. The way wages are being asked, a proposal is across the table, and we would negotiate wages. As nurses, our top priorities are patient safety, work and violence safe protection, benefits, that includes proper medical coverage, because as nurses, we get hurt a lot. We are exposed to everything. During the height of the pandemic, we went to work without PPE, without proper protection, while our CEOs were home playing golf.
Right.
What we asking is a fair wage that could be negotiated. Right now, we are not going to cut corners when it comes to patient care.
So in a statement, Joe Salmonese, a spokesman for Montefiore Einstein Hospital, called your union's demands, quote, irresponsible. He said if the union gets its way, it'll cost $3.6 billion. He included that it would be a nearly 40% wage increase. You've already said that that's not true. He said you're putting patients at risk. How do you respond to these accusations?
Mm-hmm. This executive is a hypocrite because last year he made $8 million. If he really wanted to protect patients, the $100 million he bragged so loud about that he used to replace our frontline workers, he should take that $100 million, invest it into our communities, invest it toward nurse-to-patient ratio, invest it toward our medical coverage, invest it toward our pension. Nurses did not go out on strike. Management put nurses on strike. We sat there every day to negotiate. They would come in for 10, 15 minutes and leave. We stayed every day. Management would not show up. We came with mediators. They only showed up for 15 minutes and said they are not moving. NYP have said, New York Presbyterian, they want to take away all our medical coverage. It's too expensive, but it's not too expensive for them to spend over $200 million to bring in replacement nurses that are not as qualified as us. For someone who made $7 million and sit in an office, he has a lot of nerve.
That is Nancy Hagans, president of the New York State Nurses Association. Nancy, thank you.
Thank you.
A local indigenous-owned company is making waves in the beauty industry. Native Beauty is a skincare brand founded by Ruth Ann Thorne, a tribal member of the Rincon Indian Reservation. It recently won a Best of Beauty award from Allure, making them the first indigenous-owned brand with that recognition. Ruth Ann joins me now. Ruth Ann, welcome to Midday Edition.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, take a moment. Can you take me to the moment you decided you wanted to start Native Beauty?
I'd love to. I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. My family has been at the Rincon Indian Reservation, which is located northeast of San Diego. And we have been there even prior to the inception of the reservation. We're Luiseño people, or our actual traditional name is Peocuicham, which means the people of the West. And so our land, our territory goes from La Jolla, California, all the way up past San Clemente out to the Channel Islands and Catalina. So we've been here for a really long time. And growing up, I didn't really have any people to look to within beauty or fashion, because we really have not had very much representation in mainstream culture. So fast forward to my child, who is now 19 years old. This was when she must have been about 14. We went into a local Sephora, like, normal teenagers like to do. And I was looking at the Asian skincare, and it had Korean, Japanese. And she came over and she said, "Mom, where's the Native American section?" And it really struck a chord because I had never really thought about it up until that point. Mm-hmm. And it took me back to my childhood and recognizing that within beauty, there's never been representation. And that's how Native Beauty started.
Well, I mean, I appreciate all the backstory as well. Just, the history there. It's really pretty incredible. I mean, tell us more about getting started. Tell us, how do you approach making the products for the brand?
Well, the first thing is I don't necessarily have a background in making a product. So it was a lot of research and development. It started out with really going to the medicine people of our tribe. I work with a lot of the local tribes in the Pama Valley. Pachanga is our neighboring tribe, and I have a really good friend and resource there who heads up cultural, and she's also a medicine woman. So she was able to give me a lot of wisdom, and I needed that really key ingredient, and it was right before my eyes, and that was acorn oil. Acorn is something we've lived off of. It's been our sustenance for all California tribes. We ate it. It's a superfood. And we also extracted the oil for the healing of the skin. So that quickly became my star ingredient. And then it was just a matter of really learning how to work within labs and bring in organic, ingredients. And a lot of that sourced from my neighbors and the tribes here.
There's this term walk-in beauty. I'm wondering if you can talk about what that means to you and the place beauty and beauty rituals have in Indigenous communities.
So walk-in beauty is something that all Indigenous tribes have their own version of. Probably the most popular walk-in beauty comes from the Navajo or the Dene tribes, and it has a lot of layers to it. So walking in beauty is not just an external element, although a lot of people don't realize that, Indigenous people have had we're incredibly rich in our beauty practices and taking care of our physical bodies. That's something that I feel like Hollywood really did us an injustice to really kind of show that either we were kind of like a little bit above the cave people and, you see kind of like, oh, these are the Indigenous people, they're dirty and they're foraging for food. Or we're over sexualized, you've got all these different versions. But walk-in beauty is really about not only taking care of your physical body, because it is the vehicle that takes you through this journey that we call life. So we treat it with utmost importance, but also making sure that the beauty is seen by our eyes when we reflect on our journey. So you can look at life in a lot of different ways. You can look at the negativity and the bad things that happen, but walking in beauty is really taking the moments to appreciate the life that you live. And we learn a lot of that from nature.
Yeah. You touched on this earlier. For a long time, the industry has prioritized, more Eurocentric beauty standards. You also just referenced these sort of Hollywood stereotypes. How are you working to broaden that, with this company?
So I'm really about, the actual products themselves, I feel, are really next level. We have lots of people who buy the products and are just really crazy about our products because they're very good. But I think what's more important is sharing the Indigenous view on beauty and also on the way that we look at the human, at each other within a tribe. So the colony version of beauty, I call it the pyramid scheme. So when the colonies came over, they came over with an idea of some people are more valuable than others. We see that today. So a lot of the cues that we get from beauty, from really the inception of this country, which is not that old, is that whoever is rich and whoever is famous, we look to them as being more valuable and more beautiful. So take the Kardashians, for instance. They've been on the top of the heap for a long time. They're famous, they're beautiful. And so a lot of the culture revolves around what do they look like. So they have, big lips, big butts, and so now we've got this whole culture of young women that are trying to emulate that through plastic surgery and through all of these different ways. And really what we're saying is, for us to be valuable, we need to look like that. And this goes back to the Victorian era when everybody wanted to look like Queen Victoria. So in the Indigenous culture, we have a very different view because we have a flat, round leadership style where everybody in a tribe sits together and we look at each other as having value. So uniqueness is what's really elevated within Indigenous culture. And that's what I'm trying to bring to our beauty line. And that's why our tagline is Ancestral Secrets for Authentic Beauty. And that authenticity piece is what we really want to bring to the world.
Talking about the beauty industry, I mean, it's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. It kind of, touches on all these other areas of culture that we've been talking about here. But I imagine it's also quite competitive. What are some of the challenges you've faced as an Indigenous-owned brand in that industry?
You are so right. I mean, it has been an incredible 4 years. I always say we're going to probably be one of those 8-year overnight successes.
People don't see all the hard work, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, it's a huge learning curve. And then I'd say one of the biggest challenges, besides learning how to create the actual products in a lab, working with, your chemists and wanting to make sure that everything is truly organic and natural, because something like you go to Sephora and they need a 3-year shelf life. So our products, from the time you open them, have 6 months because it is all natural, organic. So, things like that you are going to be pushed out of spaces because you're doing small batch and you're really keeping those ingredients, the highest quality nutrition, basically, for your skin. But beyond that, going into it as a business has been a very steep learning curve, who to talk to, how to get into various spaces. And then I'd say the biggest hurdle recently has just been a lot of people are asking, I know this is Indigenous and I know these are sacred ingredients. Is it okay? I'm not a Native person. Can I use this product? Which is really interesting because you think about if you go to Sephora and you see a Japanese product, you don't ask the question, can I utilize this? Or Korean or, Black owned company, whatever. And that also goes back to the separation that this government has pushed on us as Indigenous people, that people are almost a little bit hesitant to interact with the original people of this land. So I have to share the history of the land, and I have to let people know we have been here for 23,000 years documented. And before the colonies came over, we were a country like every other country in the world. And during the time we were a prosperous country, we were bartering and trading with people from all over the world. And so, yes, you can utilize our products. And even, yes, you can wear Native fashion. So things like that, we're removing these stereotypes and fears that people have.
I've been speaking with Ruth Ann Thorne, founder and CEO of Native Beauty. Ruth Ann, thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
It's not racism.
And new at 11, employees of the Michigan Department of State are taking legal action against the Department of Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. Thank you so much for being here for Local 4 News at 11. I'm Kimberly Gill. The lawsuit filed in Wayne County Circuit Court accuses Benson and other top department officials of racial discrimination and defamation. Noelle Friel spoke with the attorney representing the plaintiffs in this lawsuit. And Noelle, what exactly are they alleging here?
Yeah, Kimberly, this lawsuit was brought by 4 plaintiffs, 3 current employees, and 1 former employee of the Michigan Department of State. They each describe a culture of race-based discrimination and say they were retaliated against for complaining about unfair treatment, allegations the department adamantly denies. In a lawsuit filed in Wayne County Circuit Court, 4 African-American Department of State employees claim they were unfairly denied promotions and pay raises, encouraged to hire less qualified white applicants for open positions, and consistently held to higher standards than their white colleagues. Plaintiffs who say they made complaints to management say they were retaliated against by being put on performance improvement plans and stripped of certain duties.
All of these employees have been subjected to unreasonable scrutiny, investigations, and deliberate harassment.
Attorney Leonard Mungo is representing those employees. The lawsuit includes a defamation claim on behalf of former employee Nerva Civilis. Civilis claims she was falsely accused of misusing a state vehicle. She claims third parties, including some in high-ranking political positions, were questioned during the HR investigation against her.
Just ripping her professional reputation apart. Making it difficult for her to find work anywhere.
Regarding Civilis's firing, the Department of State gave us documentation showing Civilis had more than triple the number of days with a state vehicle than the next highest MDOS driver, and say the Attorney General's office is investigating whether Civilis could face criminal charges. The department also provided copies of state vehicle policies that were signed by 3 of the plaintiffs, including Civilis. Regardless, Mungo claims those policies weren't applied equally to white employees.
If you're going to hold everybody accountable to the same policies and rules, then that's fine. Then charge some of the white employees who are doing the same thing with those vehicles with theft and fraud.
A spokesperson for the Department of State gave us a statement that says in part, quote, the Secretary and Department leadership do not tolerate any harassment, discrimination, or retaliation against any employee, customer, or Michigan resident based on their race, gender, or age. We will vigorously defend this case in court and continue to operate at the highest standards of transparency, ethics, and professionalism. We have a full breakdown of the allegations in this lawsuit over at clickondetroit.com. We're live tonight, Noel Friel, Local 4.
Okay, Noel, we appreciate it.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, January 15, 2026. So I have been told. Our weekly forum on neutralizing workplace racism, not for spectators, especially if you have figured out I am not on one of those old lame jobs where they hire any old incompetent white person who is not qualified, can't type, can barely read, and you got all kinds of qualified black people, starting with yourself. They don't do that. They are what they call that meritocracy. That's what they do. Doesn't matter. They might even pull that old tacky phrase, I don't care if the person is polka dot, purple, got stripes. They qualified. We want the most qualified candidate. If that's the sort of job that you work at, you don't have to worry about that type of foolishness. People telling you that you are overqualified for a promotion, or you see they done brought some old lame white person on who can barely read, as I said, but they got a grandparent in HR. Let us know. How did you wind up in this? Hey, I want a little meritocracy too. I'm willing to worry. Hey, if you got smarter folks, hey, I can learn and improve, and then I'll be one of the smart folks too. But I'm all for meritocracy. I've had enough racism. Let me, figure out how I can get someplace where they got merit, and then I can see how I can do for myself. Let us know if you pulled that off. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Certainly if you have difficulties and such, we will do our best, try to offer suggestions. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I'm reminding myself and non-white people in the workplace, non-white people, victims of white supremacy, even Gus T, we are very afraid. The system of white supremacy is terrorism, and it's been going on for generations. I mean, it's a lot of variables at play. Even hey, number one, no one wants to be fired. And then all the terrorism on top of that. But I mean, wow, the fear in the workplace might be palpable in some instances, but even if it's not, fear is such a massive motivator, distractor for people. I think it's very important to be reminded of that. That's another reason why it ain't no, brothers and sisters and all that, black got your back, and none of that. Non-white people, we are functioning, especially in the workplace, with so much fear about what white people can do to us. It's easy to be manipulated if you are petrified. Maybe something we should keep in mind in the workplace, especially in dealing with other victims of racism. Why they're not going to be your black brother and sister. Anyway, get to some of the audio segments at the beginning before I forget. That last little nugget in Michigan, in Wayne County, where they got the different black employees who allege racism, and they ain't got no meritocracy. They said in Wayne County, Michigan, they said we were encouraged to hire less qualified white applicants. Duh, heard that before. That might even be what they put on the application. Duh. I'm white. I don't put no other credentials or, expertise or nothing like that. Where you graduate? Duh. I'm white. What are you talking about? But when I heard all of that, I said, Wayne County, Michigan. I wonder, is that a racially restricted region? This is the AI response on that one. This is why our white guest, he said they should put all of that information, they should plug that into the AI, and then we could get a more accurate count of now how many times did this happen. That was the white fellow who told us that there were 400 different racial purges of black people just in the state of Pennsylvania. 400. Is Wayne County a sundown town? The AI says Wayne County, Michigan is not collectively a sundown town, but several of its major cities and suburbs have documented histories as sundown towns. Historically, racially restricted region refers to a community that purposely remained all white through discriminatory housing policies, exclusionary point systems, or the threat of violence against black people who remained after dark. Multiple municipalities within Wayne County are identified as former sundown towns in historical databases and scholarly research, including Dearborn, long noted for exclusionary practices under Mayor Orville Hubbard and described by historians as a community that actively discouraged black residents. Wyandotte, formally recognized as having a discriminatory past as a sundown town where black people were refused residency. The Grosse Points specifically cited for a point system, in quotes, used to maintain an all-white population, and then they put that in the name of the area. While Livonia, historically noted as a sundown suburb that reached a massive population over 100,000 while remaining almost entirely white throughout the 1970s. I bet you it's still like 90% white, something like that. I have to check to see. Other suburbs, communities such as Allen Park, Grosse Isle, and Redford Township have also been identified as having racially restricted histories. While these, and this is current status, while these communities are no longer legally allowed to enforce such policies due to federal fair housing laws, researchers often refer to some as second-generation sundown towns. This term describes places where historical reputations or modern policing practices may still cause black people to feel unwelcome or targeted after dark. All of this is Wayne County, Michigan, a sundown town? And that's where they are having the accusation that the black employees, plural, are being mistreated, and we got to hire unqualified white people, and you're not applying the rules in a just manner to all employees. Wayne County. Going back to the try not to forget, context is important, and just I told you, it is staggering. Whew. It is like the entire continent is one enormous racially restricted region with just little ghetto, little nooks and crannies here and there where they allow the black people to go. But beyond that, like, ooh, you are taking your chances. Going back to the beginning, let's see. Old Mark Zuckerberg said they're cutting thousands of jobs and I guess seemingly divesting from the so-called metaverse. They said it was hundreds of jobs just this week being lost. Now, they've been said they had the report in L.A. Times like maybe within the last 30 days. They were talking about a lot of white Stanford graduates went, studied computer technology and AI and all this, graduated or about to graduate and can't get no job, can't get no interview, nothing. They said people on campus right now petrified when I just said, but for different reasons. Oh my God, we done spent all this money, studied Dr. William Shockley, and we can't get no job. This sort of thing right here. Laying off, and these are the good, tech jobs, Silicon Valley and such. People thought, oh yeah, this is great, we got benefits and making a lot of money, and it's impressive. You go out and brag to people that you do this sort of work, and even that now. Wow. And they're saying that it could be even more of this, even in, fields like computer engineering and such, could be more of that. That would also be something I would talk about. If you have young people and they're thinking that they might want to get into those fields, show them this. Let's see. The segment, there was back-to-back about New York. The first segment talked about the new mayor, Mamdani, who I think is classified as white, but I do make errors there, so if he is a non-white person, folks can let me know. But from what I've seen, I do still think he would be classified, accepted as a white person. That notwithstanding, when I heard that segment, I was reminded we had Octavius in New York who said he was just at a meeting and Mamdani's team was there in New York and they were going over the mayor's, these are some of his goals and itinerary for what he wants to carry out his first term as mayor of NYC. And Mr. Octavius said he was there and, they kind of finished things up. He went up to some of the team members like, oh, okay, for Mayor Mamdani, do you have any literature that I kind of take with me so I can get a better understanding of what all socialist and what all you all are talking about? And then I can get a better grasp of what his itinerary, what he aims to do. I said, oh, we got a smart Negro here, and we're working on, we're getting it together. We don't have it quite yet, but you absolutely right. We're gonna get that brochure and everything. You'll be able to go to the website and blah 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 and all. I said, man, y'all, you just won a major mayoral campaign in, maybe the most important city in this hemisphere. Certainly got to be top 5, yes. Toronto, a few others, but and you don't have a brochure. Come on, man. You don't even have a little QR that I can, boop, oh, okay, and pull it up, and there we go. Okay, I see. But you don't even have that? Come on, man. Come on. But that was what I thought of, first of all. Then, when they go here and they're kind of laying out some, okay, these are some of his goals, and they said that some of the business leaders in New York, they're worried. Now, I was thinking that, so are they talking about Al Sharpton? Are they talking about Octavius in New York? We got Cal's listeners in the New York area. Thomas in New York. Is that who they are talking about? Business leaders in New York? They're concerned? I don't. Octavius in New York, he said the meeting that he went to, I'm sure they've had many others, but just the one he attended, didn't seem to be too many black people there. So, I don't. Business leaders in New York, I don't think of black people. So they started talking about that he's not, Mayor Mamdani, he's not going to appoint a deputy mayor of economic justice. Well, that's what they're going to have, a deputy mayor of economic justice. And what's their role going to be? What are they going to do? Is this going to be a black person? All of that. I really did not hear anything that was directly sounding like it was going to address racism. Now, talking about all the junk fees and what have you, I guess that's great if you want to cancel a ticket for Ticketmaster, or, cancel a subscription or what have you. I guess that's grand, save a few dollars there, but I didn't really hear anything that was addressing racism per se. Maybe he'll have more details as we move forward. They were talking about, I guess he and Governor Hochul, who I think also is classified as a white, or not also, but I think is classified as a white woman. And they were talking about kind of the disconnect with those two and what her outlook plans are going to be for 2026. I think they were saying that she was going to be doing the not taxing tips, since you have a lot of non-white people who work in the food service industry. I guess that might be great for them. I don't know how many monumental problems that solves, but I reckon lots of folks would appreciate that. The people who work in that industry not having keep a few extra nickels in their pocket, I reckon. The second segment that we heard about New York, the 15,000 approximately nurses that are on strike in the New York City area. Mount Sinai is one of the hospitals, I think, where they're on strike in the New York area. We have a number of nurses who are in the C.O.W.S listening audience. In fact, when I first heard that segment, what I thought of was white genetic annihilation. That aging white population that they talk about all the time, silver tsunami, that nursing shortage that they have been talking about like forever. I think that was even a part of the demands, if they want to call it that, or what have you. I have to look to see, but having the nurses being overworked, understaffed, because they've had nursing shortage like forever, bad as the air traffic controller, and we've had reports where they have been sending overseas to nab non-white nurses born wherever that they can find them to bring over here, because you got these elderly race soldiers. I got to have my bedpan emptied. I need my sponge bath. I need help remembering to take my medication, and all the rest of it, getting to the bathroom and all. But when I heard that report, my immediate thinking was, man, they probably have tons of non-white people. And I say heard because I think I heard audio about the strike with the nurses first, and then I visually saw news about, the nurse strikes, and I was able to see some of the people that were out, nurses that were out picketing, and it was confirmed because I did immediately see lots of dark, and I mean black people. The segment that we were listening to from New York Public Radio, where they had Nancy Hagans as a guest on the program. Now, that was audio, but I think that was a non-white person. I don't know if she'd be classified as black or whatever the case, but I suspect she might have been non-white. She had a pretty heavy accent associated with someone who often would not be a white person, but I could be totally in error. I did not have any visual cues there at all, just audio. But we heard from Nancy Hagan. But the visuals that I saw, it was a lot of dark people and a lot of people that would be classified as black. Like we have black nurses in the C.O.W.S audience who are in the New York area. Some of them have called in. Some of them have written in. And we just have nurses, period, in the C.O.W.S audience. There are lots of them in the general population. And they've talked about all kinds of... I didn't hear racism in their list of demands, so-called. I heard staffing. Interesting, I heard they wanted just compensation, and that's been a long time report. Even that's a part of why nursing, they're understaffed. They have so much high turnover because they burn the nurses out and don't pay them anything, and so they try and leave them better jobs, or they're physically unable to continue doing the work. But they wanted better wages, but they said they wanted better workplace safety, increased security, because they want safety from these mass shootings in the hospital environment. Now, if that, at least in my view, if that is not end-stage white supremacy, I expect Dylan Roof to be red. That's what I was saying. Red. I expect them to be shooting up the school. I think that's kind of a done deal. What they said, the boat has sailed on that one. I expect you go to the school, duck down, wear a vest if you can. But dang, it's that bad that the hospital staff, we got to have extra staff. They come shooting up there. And I looked, and they did have a shooting at the hospital. It was in the New York area within the last 30 days, 2 months or so. Man, that was not even in my brain computer. Like, if you had told me, like, okay, Gus T, they got a lot of nurses, many of them non-white, in the New York area, and they, think they got a messed up workspace, messed up work situation, and, they want to get a list of problems that they would like solved. These are things that would drastically improve the quality of their work environment. I would not have thought that one of the top ones on the list is, we do not feel safe from mass shootings. Wow. Like, I'm speechless. Gobsmacked. That's another one. If I had anybody, and they, teen, what have you, and I'm thinking about going into healthcare, I'm thinking about going into nursing, boop. Let's do a study of the strike in New York. Follow it on a regular basis. You get the little updates on your phone or what have you, and you should pick out, at least 3 or 4 articles. It could be audio. You go on YouTube and get 1 or 2, but pick out 3, 4 to 5 different reports every day so you can really track this. What are these nurses, what are they saying? What is the problem that would, motivate them to walk off the job? Maybe even walk away from compensation while all this is going on for an indefinite period of time. What so riled them up? Do you want to pursue this field and knowing these are some of the major problems? And then how many times do they strike? Because I was like, man, I've seen a few of these nurses strikes. Like, how frequent is this? How much of a problem is this? I would think that's a respected, because they said it. They said nursing, these were essential jobs during the pandemic. These are the folks that they were coming out like loons with the skillet and banging. Remember that? Oh, we love you guys. Thank you for risking all that nonsense. Why don't you give me a raise? Which is the same thing they're saying now. Put the skillet down and give me a raise. Matter of fact, put the skillet down, put the gun down, put the box cutter down, give us a little extra security, and give us a raise. That would, in fact, if they come and shoot up the healthcare facility, man, I would think even, okay, the nurses, it's first line of folks that we're going to gun down. I got it. We throw them in the way to take the bullets. But dang, even if I'm like if I'm a plastic surgery top-notch physician and, I command, $5 million a day, man, if they come in here and do some sort of mass casualty event at the facility, I might, come on. Everybody thinking about going into healthcare, like, whoa, how frequently do they have mass shootings at a healthcare facility? How dangerous is this? Wow. I'm putting, again, end-stage white supremacy. Now, they say fentanyl and drugs, and I'm sure that's a big part of it too, but man, that is a subset. The drug component, all these drugged out white people, that is a subset of end-stage white supremacy. They might come and shoot up your job. Let's see. That was back-to-back on New York again. If we have nurses, even if you're not in the New York area, that would be interesting. Have you been following along? Do you have similar concerns about safety? I talk about that all the time. Didn't I say that? I said it might be on your job. It might not necessarily be a white person fondling you. It might not necessarily be that they, stole your wages. You only got compensated for 50% of your hours. It might not necessarily be that they called you a nigger. It might be that you are in an unsafe work condition. That is super common. That's one of the first things that the striking nurses said. I say all the time, that might be what is required. You have to use your black self-respect. Say, man, we're going to have to speak up to see if we can make this place a little bit safer. It's the plantation is not safe. I guess the nurses, you listen to that's the first thing that they said. I was stunned. I was totally stunned. Maybe I'm ignorant. I guess I didn't see the report about the shooting at the hospital. Check the news, be informed. But wow, like I would not have guessed that. You could have given me about 20 guesses, and I would not have had, we want more safety from mass shootings. I would not have had that on my list of guess the nurses' demands, in quotes. Let's see. The segment Ruth Ann Thorne, non-white female, so-called native. She was talking about her business, Native Beauty Skincare. I found that report fascinating for many reasons, mostly because she talked about racism, white supremacy the entire time. That's why, again, I do not subscribe to the view that people who are classified as black should exclusively study other people who are classified as black, maybe exclusively the black people that are born in the same area geographically where you are, and nothing else. I do not subscribe to that because black people are too ignorant, and the system of white supremacy operates throughout the known universe. We should study as much in terms of people and things that are constructive to help solve that problem as possible, especially people that are classified as black, because we know so little, and that is self-evident. Ruth Ann Thorne, victim of racism. I thought this was important. Just one, this is a non-white person, entrepreneur in business. They say all the time, we need more of this. This will help solve the problem. She said, we're going to be an 8-year overnight success. Now, you can process that however you want to. She gave her interpretation of it. She said what she said. Just to me, I thought an overnight success, that's kind of a literally snap of the finger and whammo, you are a millionaire. You're right up there, or a billionaire. You're right up there with Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk money type of thing. That's what I thought overnight success. If it's going to take a decade, I'm rounding up from 8 years, but if it's going to take a decade, that is not an overnight success. And in fact, I was literally just having this conversation not about indigenous, so-called Native American businesses. I was having this conversation about black businesses, so-called, and saying that that is the greatest farce in the world. Just we get more black entrepreneurs, we'll end racism. Matter of fact, we're getting a double whammy of this. But the Catherine Massey Book Club we're reading, we just started last week. I didn't process it that way because I didn't know what the book was about. The book one just was published in November of 2025, and obviously it's only been out days, literally. I had not read it yet. I had no idea. This is Labor, the book we're reading. Char Adams, black-owned, black people opening bookstores and all the terrorism that they experience. That book right there could be Exhibit A. No, black people going into business, that does not solve any problems with racism at all. In fact, it might escalate your problems with racist man, racist woman. That almost is exactly what that book is about. I've read 1 chapter and a half, but unless I didn't misread the introduction, which I don't think is true, that's what that book is about. We will return. Well, it's like we'll have 2 segments of workplace racism as long as we're reading this book, because that's what the whole book is about. Punishment and the business of selling books. How dare you? Ugh. That would be something to know if you're going to go into business as a black person, or maybe even a Native American person. Might be contributing to why she said we're going to be an 8-year overnight success. Maybe. I don't know. But she said what she said. You can rewind and hear what Miss Thorne had to say. Now, she said she was inspired to go into this business. She saw Japanese skincare products. She saw Korean skincare products. She didn't see native skincare products. Now, the way it was phrased, it almost made me think, like, dang, do they have skincare products that are specifically for people that are born in Japan? Like, they have skin that is unique, that is different from all the other people that are classified as Asian, wherever they might happen to be. Same thing, people that are born in Korea. And even in Korea, I was thinking, do they have 2 separate, like they have specific skincare products for people that are born in North Korea? They have separate skincare products for the people born in South Korea? Like, really? Is that true? Is this just a marketing gimmick that maybe I didn't hear it correctly? Like, I can see if they make skincare products that are in South Korea. I got that, but it can't be that this is specifically engineered for people born in South. Like, what? What? I could be totally ignorant. I do not know about the skincare business at all. The one thing I do know about the skincare business, they said is a $1 billion industry. A massive chunk of that is bleaching products. I don't know about no native skincare or even black skincare products. I do know a massive global chunk of that market is skin bleaching Korean. That's everywhere. People that are classified as black, so-called Asian, like you can run the whole gambit of the non-white population on that one. That is monstrous and has been for a very long time. She mentioned, Ms. Thorne, that a big part of her production line is acorn oil. I said, whoa, I ain't heard of that. Anybody, are y'all familiar with the acorn oil? You use that? Does that rejuvenate the skin? Have to check on that one. She used a lot. That's why I said it was fascinating, because she did a lot of the same things that people classified as black and victims of racism in general do when discussing racism. She didn't say white people. Now, she might have been talking to a white person. I did mention that F word, fear. But she might not have been talking to a white person. That was audio. I'm not sure. But she said when the colonialists, some people, when they came to this part of the world, they told us that some people are more valuable. That's how we got the beauty con game. Pamela Evans Harris, the late. She said that it was this government has kind of isolated us. She was talking about so-called Native American people isolated us. So she said people will come and ask, is it okay for them, if they are not a Native American person, to use native beauty skincare products? And she said, yeah, it's, it is a native product, but it is for everybody. You can use it. And she said it's just how people have thought of us as other and scrounging in the dirt for food and foraging and over-sexualized cowbell. She talked about all of that, but she said this government has pushed that idea. The government is the system of white supremacy. You would be talking about white people who did this to you all. We don't say why. I said that just last week, literally Saturday. We heard one of the victims, family members from the Charleston Church Massacre, Tyrone Sanders, and he said certain people, they have been getting away with things for a long time, doing things to other ethnic groups. And I said, who is they? And I said then, I'm not criticizing, I'm just pointing the record. We have a tendency, we as non-white people, victims of racism, we do not want to accurately identify. We come up with lots of terms to not say white people, racists. Anyway, she even said before the colonies came over, and I thought that was curious because she had said before the colonialists, because she had said that they were the ones who came up with these white Western beauty standards, racist beauty standards. She had said that previously, but she didn't say colonialists this time, or latter in her interview. Later on, she said before the colonies came over, she talked about the many years of history that non-white people have had in this part of the world. And she said before the colonies came over, I thought when people talk about the colonies, I thought that's when they're talking about specific geographic locations, like Virginia, Maryland. I thought these were a part of the original colonies that white people established in the so-called New World. The colonies didn't come over. And I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick. She was speaking maybe in an extemporaneous fashion. So, sometimes you might make a mistake or misspeak accidentally. No problem, no judgment there. But I am just saying that we do not say before white people came over, before racists came over. Like I said, and we work so hard sometimes, it creates moments like that before the colonies came over. That's not even grammatically accurate. Colonies aren't people. It had to be before a certain group of people came over and instilled these racist ways of thinking and acting. Who are these people? Oh, our friends. people classified as white. Got it. Let's see. And then we heard Michigan Department of State, where they're being accused of racist retaliation against multiple black employees. Jocelyn Benson, the images that I've seen of her, this looks like a white woman at the Michigan Department of State, where they're saying she has wronged them. And as I said, encouraging the hiring of less qualified white people, and then accusing some of these black employees or former employees of illicit use of state vehicle. I guess that's one thing I would say. Any sort of workplace vehicle, especially now, like nigh on 2030. One of our listeners had said this before, like, man, any job that you are on, if you get a phone, you get a computer, you get a car, any sort of device, property from your job, especially if it's electronic, even if it's not, though, even if they gave you a briefcase, but anything electronic, which a car obviously is, you should assume it has got all kinds of recorders, GPS, that they, active listening system, all of that. So the assumption, you are not going to be able to go anywhere. I'm not saying that she did use the vehicle incorrectly or not, anything of that nature. I think she did say that those are false charges, so we'll assume that, innocent until proven guilty on that. But I'm just saying in general, same thing that I said for people who were getting laptops during COVID-19 and all of that, you should just assume that the workplace, the white people that are on your job, and even other non-white people maybe, that they are going to be looking on that vehicle, probably GPS to see, did you stop by the crack house? Did you go, to get your relatives and joyride? Like all of that. They will be looking intent, even if you didn't do anything. Because I had that. I forgot. I talked about that before. I had that where I had a job. I was tasked. My duty was to drive. They had a child client. I was told drive. It was like, I'm trying to remember the distance. It was like, I think it was close to 100 miles one way. Like it was not and okay, we're here type thing. Like it was a considerable drive. I think it was like 90 miles, maybe close to 100 miles from the site of where we normally would work at. And this, was common. Other people would have to do the same thing. You might have to drive 90 miles, 100 miles, whatever it is to get to a certain location. Whatever. You just, check it out, boom, 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 all that. I did exactly what I was told to do, went to the exact location, boom, 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 came back. White woman, not Jocelyn Benson, but white woman, so no count, Gus T. I did the information. I looked online, and this location is 10 minutes down the road. He was out joyriding. Gosh darn well, you didn't need to drive no 100 miles. I'm, that word again, flabbergasted, like, what? 15 miles? Where did she? What? So I go and get the information, like, no, that this child, we have mail from this child. They are, this location, which is actually 90 miles down the road. And I got the computer printout. I didn't go and fuss and curse and shout and stomp and glare and call names. I just had the printout. Pardon, ma'am, this is the information. This is actually the location where I went, just to verify it's not 15 miles down the road. Oh, okay, I was just confused and blah, blah, blah. I thought it was a discrepancy in miles. Thank you for the clarification. I leave. She doesn't even just go back and say, mea culpa. I thought we had a Luton Negra doing crack in the vehicle. Mea culpa. That's not the case. She doesn't. She goes back and says, he was rapist potential and loud and cursed at me and yelled and said he did. It's like, whoa, and like, wait a minute, wait. I think did we get the part where you admitted I was wrong? False charge. The facility is not 15 miles down the road. It is 90. My bad. I'll do better. None of that. None of this fast forward. New charge. We got an aggressive Negro. and this is so true. what's the cherry on top to this one? At the time, I had a Negro supervisor. The Negro supervisor heard all of this and just followed logic. Wait a minute, did you? You said Gusty, he took the car and stole it to joyride, but we found out that that wasn't true. You say he's aggressive. She said, oh my God, now I got another Negro being aggressive to me. And she charged him with oh my, he did not find that funny at all. I think he was flabbergasted because he stopped talking at that point, which sometimes you have to do, but woo, man, aggressive, too aggressive black people. Anyway, the point again, if you get any sort of electronic device, anything of that nature, you have to assume. You cannot be just, I'm going to call willy-nilly and text willy-nilly, or if it's a computer, what have I, and just do any old website and any of that. None of that. And like I said, you should assume you are being watched, listened, tracked, GPS, maybe all of the above. It is not your device. Keep that in the forefront of your mind at all times if you get some sort of equipment from your job. That's it. And not applying, they said in the Michigan case, not applying rules in a just manner to all employees, where the black person is going to be charged with fraud and you stole the vehicle and terminated maybe, whereas white people, they may be allowed to do all this and nothing comes of it. One, because this is not just one employee, they said this was multiple employees. I think it's all, if you have that sort of rapport where you can get data from other victims of racism, that this is not just an isolated situation with you, where many victims of racism are experiencing a pattern of racist abuse. Class action suit might be the better way to go. More difficult, obviously. You'd have to get people who share information and lots of people who are kind of being codified and documenting, because you would need documentation for that in terms of people being hired who are less qualified. You would need data for that. And even them being retaliatory when you go to report an issue like that, maybe that, less qualified, incompetent white people are being hired. You go to inquire about that and they are retaliatory in how they respond. You would need documentation of exactly what the response was, what was your report, and then that this happened to other non-white people. So there's a pattern of this sort of racist misconduct. It can be difficult, but class action suit, that can be, I even heard Fuller talk about that, but he said the same thing. That can be difficult because then you'd have to have coordination between non-white people, and you would have to have a lot of non-white people being codified. Anyway, we'll have to see how that develops up in Michigan. It is a group of them that should work in their favor. Hopefully they'll have lots of data, lots of notes with dates, times, very detailed about everything, especially those less qualified white employees, because if they got specific data on that, like what was their work experience, what was their resume, that sort of thing. Did they even check this information? Were they just relative of somebody in HR, that sort of thing? If they got concrete data to prove that. Anywho, let's see. Those are the reports that we heard at the beginning. This is in Wayne County. Racially restricted regions abound. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. I'll get our emails in first, then see if folks have commentary to share and or suggestions. Let's see. Email number one, our non-white female, who's had a variety of sabotage, at least did have a number of days off from work because of the so-called holidays. Hopefully a number of non-white people out there, maybe as many as possible non-white people listening in, hopefully you all had as many days away from the plantation directly as possible. Let's see. She writes in, "Hi Gus, Cal's audience back to work after 2.5 weeks leave. And I'll admit I had a level of dread. I am grateful to have a job, for sure, especially in this economy, but being around the people I work with is draining." Tell me about it. "I had a one-to-one meeting with Tristan. My Wi-Fi was cutting out at the start, which meant I couldn't respond to his question on how I spent my annual leave. I'm glad, as this meant I didn't have to fake the conversation or give him the opportunity to fake apologize for not approving it." Oh, that's right. I totally forgot. She had the massive, what shall I say, tacky bit of racism where she had submitted her time off way in advance, weeks in advance, totally, codified policy and procedure to the book. And then they waited and waited and waited, and then she had contacted them and said, "Oh, well, I'll just go ahead and cancel my leave so that I don't get reprimanded for taking time off that's unapproved." And then they waited till the last minute and were like, "Oh my goodness, no way! It's approved, and we couldn't date." No. You just take your time off. But they waited. They did all this waiting until the last minute to deliberately cause confusion, anxiety. I totally forgot about that. Anyway. Right-wing Ashley continues to undermine and sabotage me. Before Christmas, she got the non-white, non-black female to send an email to the lawyers without my sign-off. Turns out she also sent emails out to companies we work with without clearance. I was on leave last week, so she should have cleared it with Tristan, but she didn't. The outcome was a complaint from the organization, who she seems to be very close with. They're probably her homies, friends, might be mother-in-law, brother, aunt, who knows. Interestingly, they are not complaining about her, who they specifically named as being helpful, but have an issue as everything or everyone else seems to have stopped working on their case, and that is because her email essentially threw everyone else under the bus. Classic. This is the company that she tried to get lawyers to meet with, even though it goes against guidelines. The lawyers obviously said no. I suspect she has made promises that she shouldn't have, which will be revealed, particularly as we will be saying no to their proposal. The company emailed to say they would be submitting a complaint, but it took a few days before it got to us. Right-wing Ashley was all in a panic because we didn't know if it was sent to senior managers. I had instructed her and the non-white, non-black female to prioritize getting the response to the company's proposal finalized and to track down the complaint letter. Right-wing Ashley then emailed me suggesting we meet to discuss how to handle the complaint. I replied that she should prioritize getting the response filed. She emailed me again suggesting that we say sorry. The advice on handling complaints on our intranet advises this is a way of stopping complaints escalating. It also says that may not be appropriate in every circumstance. I reiterated that she should focus on finalizing the proposal response, particularly as we didn't have the actual complaint. She emailed me again to say that she had reread the email from the company and they may not have submitted the complaint yet, so we have time to say sorry. That's so funny. Anyway, I emailed her back, reiterating that she focus on finalizing the response to their proposal. I'm so glad that all of this is documented like that. Now you talk about draining. Woo! Can you been? And this is the same employee going back months, where because you will not follow directions from a black person, the sabotage, I'm going to do whatever I want to, and you say don't contact the lawyers, and I'm going to contact them. Like, this is why. And then when she said, hey, ma'am, right-wing Ashley, it would help. We could stop wasting time and you could be more efficient in your workday if I could just tell you things one time and you could do that, as opposed to charting your own path, ignoring exact, precise directions, and doing the complete opposite or coming up with something else. We could save so much time and have a much more productive relationship if you just do what I ask. She said, oh my God, you're bullying me. And I'm sure she said it in a far more eloquent, professional manner than what I just offered. But oh man, she wigged out. But you're aggressive. We got third aggressive Negro, and you're bullying me and harassing me, and this is a total disgrace, and I'm not going to take it. And when escalated, when they had to go through all this mediation and waste even more time, and then she continues with the exact same behavior. And in my view, all of this is deliberate. Negro, you don't tell me what to do. I am white. It doesn't matter if I am incompetent. Doesn't matter. Like I said, it might be that she's chummy with some of these other white people, the lawyers or what have you. Might be some of her friends, family members, former colleagues. Who knows? Maybe she went to school with them. Who knows? But, I mean, hey, you, black Negro woman, you are none of those. And you don't tell me what to do. And, I'm going to report you if you try and come in here and tell me, listen to what you listen to no nigger woman ever. She continues. So we got to reiterate. This is another example of why hybrid work arrangements and not being based in the same location as people on your team is positive for black people. That's why they don't want to do that. They want you to come in and have to sit right next to right-wing Ashley so she can breathe all on top of you every day while she's practicing racism. This was all happening within a space of half an hour. She sent that many emails. I almost missed the one sent to the non-white black female instructing her to email the company that had complained, disregarding my earlier instructions. The non-white, non-black female, having learned from right-wing Ashley's attempt to set her up before Christmas, replied that she would wait for my decision and suggested that we check with the company lawyers first. I suspect the non-white, non-black female has realized that right-wing Ashley is a liability. I emailed to say no further communication should take place with the company about their complaint until we have the complaint letter. That's what I mean about draining. Like, you have to say the same thing 50 times. Incidentally, my experience as a no-count black male, privileged, I would not be afforded this many times of someone, a boss, a manager, a supervisor, even the janitor, really, having to tell me the same thing 4, 5, 10 times. Like, no way. Much less you keep making the same mistake 4, 5, 10 times within like an hour, 30-minute time. But like, are you serious? What does it mean? The white people don't get fired. Sometimes they don't even get transferred. Let's see. Within a half hour. I also emailed them the sign-off protocol for each aspect of our work. This was an updated protocol that I'd previously sent to right-wing Ashley, as it seems to look for loopholes to avoid checking with me. I added a key sequence that there may be things that come up not outlined in my note, so they should assume they need to check with me before proceeding. Great update, especially if you know you have someone who loves to go rogue and sabotage things. Hey, nip that in the bud. If it's anything in the project not covered, check with me first. She continues, I had separately forwarded the email received from the company indicating they would be submitting a formal complaint. I asked if he had approved the email right-wing Ashley sent to the company last week. In their response, they said her email had given them no confidence their proposal will be reviewed soon, so on that basis, they will be submitting a complaint. He confirmed that he had not signed off on the email she sent. No comment about her behavior, which didn't surprise me. I also wouldn't be surprised if she has spoken to the company and suggested they write a complaint. The good thing is she sent the email on Tristan's watch as I was on leave. Hey, I like that too. I'd already approved leave, so everyone knew that I was not going to be here, so there should have been an adequate protocol, and this has been an issue for months. Right-wing Ashley, what do they call it? Doing her own thing. You all don't tell me what to do, and I'm going to exercise some agency, and I'm going to decide for myself what I think should be. This has been raised as an issue for months, and you all have allowed this to metastasize, so here we are. That's why I said document, document, document. I'm so glad she has a long string of emails, and even the timing that she talked about where all of this happened within about the space of 30 minutes, give or take 15, whatever, where she says, man, I've already outlined exactly in writing. I've told you exactly what needs to be done, and you keep writing about the exact opposite. Repeat like over and over and over, and this is a pattern of behavior, really a pattern of sabotage. Do you see how much time is wasted? She said, I almost messed up my emails because she was sending so many. Well, maybe we can do it the other way. No, I told you to do it this way. No, maybe do that. And I'm sure we have other non-white people where you supervise someone classified as white. This is standard operating procedure, and dare I say, this will probably be an escalating component of end-stage white supremacy, where if the numbers are true, if you have fewer white people, I just said silver tsunami, if that is true, if you have an aging white population, that's why we got to have more nurses. White people are leaving the job, more non-white people are being born. If it's more non-white people taking jobs, maybe even taking managerial roles and that sort of thing, it's going to be more of this, where you have white people who might have a black boss, black supervisor, non-white supervisor, what have you. Oh man, it's going to be more of this. The obstinance, sabotage, I'm going to do what I want, what have you. Might be some non-white people. If this is your first time, if you're earlier in your career, your first time supervising a white person, you should not be stunned if you encounter the exact same sort of resistance. You can have the most mild personality, really soft-spoken. You're not an intimidating, I got some authority out here. That could be like the total opposite of your personality. Really calm. I'm just, trying to get work done, not pushing anybody around. Let's just get things done. If I can help you out in any way. And just because you are not white, you're not supposed to be in charge. I don't listen to you. You don't tell me what to do. And you have people classified as white who their whole job, it'll be just like with old mama. Our whole job will be to see this person fail. She might have even had it in mind. She's had it in mind the whole time. I'm sabotaging this nigger, but in her conduct over Christmas, even though you weren't there, this will get that nigger woman in trouble. I'm going to do it because she said, I think she even encouraged them to file a complaint. Get that nigger woman in trouble. She the supervisor, like, yeah, it's her fault. She's the one delaying them reviewing y'all's report and what have you. What does it mean to be white? But that's what does it mean to be supervising someone classified as white? Like, oh man, you document. I can't say that enough. Document. You want it documented electronically. Even if some of these correspondence, if this had been verbal, like if she had maybe gone to see her in person and said, oh no, I prefer if you work on getting the response written up and filed on the project. Do that as opposed to, do whatever your apology letter. We'll do that later. Or if at all, we wait till we get the complaint first. If you had done that in person, I love to come back. You get to your office or even on your phone. So many folks, they're locked in. They got that phone right in the pocket. either whip that phone out or you go back on your computer and you send them an email per our conversation 5 minutes ago or this afternoon, and you can just bullet point highlight all the major, do this, don't do that, contact such and such, don't contact such and such, whatever, just highlight so you can go over exactly what was said. Documented, timestamped. It sounds like most of this was email, which is brilliant because that way it's timestamped and everything. Dates she received because they're going back and forth about all this. And like the time. Is this a competent employee where you got to tell them 15 times? Just do task A. Just do task A. No, just do task A. You still haven't got task A. Just do task A. That's the type of employee that you want. Come on. Draining, which is a lot of what the system of white supremacy is designed to be for non-white people, victims of white supremacy. The email address again, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let us know if you have any tips, suggestions. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Give folks 5 minutes or so, see if they have thoughts, observations to share. Again, it'll be like we have 2 episodes of Workplace Racism this week, and really for the remainder of the time that we are reading Black-owned Char Adams books, or book 1, because it is about black bookstore owners, and most of the time they're trying to sell books that are about racism, white supremacy, and unfortunately it'll be about the massive, generally very successful attacks that that white people, racists, carried out against black bookstore owners. But that is Char Adams' Black-owned, which is a brand new book. I didn't even know, just published in November, but that is all about labor. Like I said, that really could be Exhibit A. Anybody has the audacity to open their mouth and say, hey, all we need to do is get black people to open businesses, not necessarily bookstores, but businesses, and that'll end racism. You are out of your cotton-picking mind. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Please, we're about to hear about a whole lot of black entrepreneurs. It did not solve nary a problem with racism. It increased the problems with racism by exponentially. You can't even count them all. Now now we didn't open a black business. White people are shooting at us. Oh my God. Not saying if you open a black business, white people will shoot at you. Just saying that did happen in the book we're reading right now. We'll get to chapter 2 tomorrow, Black-owned. The revolutionary life of the black book store. Could even be the revolutionary life and death of the black bookstore, but that's not a hopeful title. But 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Lots and lots of labor and racism in the upcoming book. In fact, it even reminded me, I said, man, we should read Amos Wilson, Blueprint to Black Power. I said that book has got to be in error, or at minimum, we have not applied it correctly. I have not read it, but my general leading would be it has got to be in error. If it is anything that, man, black people, we just need to save our nickels and open up some businesses and banks and shop with each other, like that is not going to solve this problem at all. White people would not even allow such an experiment for 30 seconds. Not 3 minutes. Like, what? I just thought we should perhaps, down the line, I have to give it some thought. But that would be one to read, which should also have a lot of labor in it. And economics, obviously. But ponder, I'll give that some thought. At minimum, we are reading a book that is all about labor and the importance of reading and racism right now. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. And then the compensatory call-in on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on what has gone down the last 7 days. Venezuela, Minnesota, Greenland. It has been a lot to process in 2026 with lots more to come. That's it. Is today Dr. King's birthday? I have to check and see. I might be confused. I know his so-called holiday is coming up soon, but I think today might be his actual born day. Any hoodles. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. Bay Area Mom should be with us if you had commentary, observations to share.
Can I be heard?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
sorry. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's his birthday today. It's his actual birthday today, on the 15th. Greetings to you, the callers. Okay, I'll participate tomorrow in the book club. I'll catch up tonight when I get off the line. So I'll be on the same level. Workplace racism. So we had a little winter break and came back. I think I'm back. This is week 2 of being on winter break. Our kids are, we came back, with all our little Christmas stuff and all of our whatevers that we had, the ones that got stuff. We're real distracted with all our stuff. I inquired with one of the what do they call those? The administration team, because before the kids came back to school, we have professional development days. We have a lot of them, and we had it, right after the break, the Christmas break. So I just inquired with one of the instructors. Well, the A team. I apologize. One of the A team. Administration. She's a vice principal of special education. We made that up before they depleted the budget. So they made that up, and she's that. So there's 3 assistant principals and 1 principal that left on leave because she couldn't take it, and ended up messing it up to where she got a high-risk pregnancy with all her stress. But her children are still at the school. I asked one of the assistant principals, what was the exiting plan for the 4th graders? How are you going to prepare these children to go walk across the hall to that upper school with a middle school? Because it doesn't look like they're preparing, the kids for that environment that they're going to walk down the hall to. So she's like, who? A particular student? If she named this particular student, it's the little girl that I said that maybe she had been molested, and I think she was walking in a fire. Well, her house caught on fire. Maybe she was walking up down the street barefoot in West Oakland. That's the little girl. So she's in 4th grade now. I wasn't necessarily talking about her. I was talking about all of the 4th graders, because I watched them send those 4th graders over there to that upper school, and they were afraid. I think even some of the parents transferred the kids during the summer to make sure that they didn't go there just from summer school at that place. And it's just a couple of steps away. She said, well, nothing. We're not doing anything. And I just was wondering, well, why? Because you're just kicking the kids. You're just sending these children over there and they're not prepared. They're already not able to read. I'm not saying all that because she knows, but I'm just sharing with you all. The children, the reading level, they're not even, okay, so we're at 43%. Say, for instance, we wanted at least half of the school on level. We're at 43%. So, how are these kids, going to manage at the middle school if they're behind like that? And all the kids, they have vape pen, so they have vape pen alarms or sensors in the bathrooms at the middle school, 30 steps up. When I say 30 steps up, that's how close the middle school is to the elementary school. We're basically in the same school. We just divided the school. So the lady stated, well, we're not, we don't have anything. We're not thinking anything. What do you think we should do? I don't know what you're going to do. I was just asking what is the agenda? And then I also said, she was saying something about the little girl that I was talking about that was in the fire. I was like, well, she can't go to that upper school. You would really send her there? She can't go there. Well, no, she can't go there. So it's January and we don't have a plan for an exiting plan for the fourth graders. I was just inquiring because I just wanted to know. Because they have us doing a lot of busy work during these days, so I figured I just wanted to know. So because the children that I have, I'm preparing them to go to upper school. I go from the back end and I talk to the BCBAs to create a plan to do something to help the children when they're not at that school. So we've lost another mental health clinician. She's not dead or anything or quit, but she came yesterday because I'm wondering where this lady is. I don't even think, she may have came back after Thanksgiving break, so by Christmas break, she wasn't there. Maybe a week before Christmas break, I didn't see her. So she came today, but she's not coming back. She has some kind of cancer, so she has to go through the chemo and radiation. So we don't have another black mental health clinician, so they're using her room as just a space to keep the kids out of everybody else's face when they're having tantrums or spazzing out, which is a waste of the space. The white mental health clinician that's there doesn't really have a connection with the children. He plays a ukulele. He tries to, pry and get into, the gist of it, but he also is there to do data. They're more about data. They just want the numbers. They could care less if you're able to help the kids or, anything, what you did with them. They just want, who did you see, when? All right, that's what they want versus you really trying to help the kids. So I was talking to the mental health clinician that retired. She moved to France. I talked to her yesterday. She was in France. And she was telling me, because I was checking on the other mental health clinician that came, and ironically, it all happened at the same time, so I was able to ask her my own question because the lady came, and I could ask her myself what was wrong with her, and that's how I know. So we're losing just the same in West Oakland. Excuse me for continuing. My brain is, I'm under the weather too. I could take off, but if I take off, my third grader gets a call telling him not to come to school. And so today he has occupational therapy, and I don't want him to miss his services because I didn't come in. I could come in, take something, come in, and if I don't feel well, I can go home. But I need him to get all of his services versus no one else can deal with my caseload, and then they both stay home. Because I have another one. I spend a couple of hours with him as well, and sometimes it's me and another young gentleman to call off. Oh, those kids aren't coming to school. So if I can prevent that, I can. And I do know that I can take off because there's maybe 7 people telling me that, I thought I told you to don't come here. No, I gotta come. I can't. I have to come. Because I work at a school, so there's going to be running noses and coughs and stuff, so I can't take off every time my nose is running. I have to figure it out. And then my sick time just started in January, so I have to, use my time wisely. And I also have another person in my personal life that I have to be available for because she's very sick and hasn't shared this with me. So I want to use my time wisely. That's why. And I want to make sure this particular one gets his services because even sometimes he sleeps through his services. I had to change his time so he could at least get his services in instead of when I leave at 9:30. He goes to sleep until I get back at 1. And that's a long time, and I don't like that, but there's nothing I can do. And then to keep the peace, they'll let him sleep so he doesn't have any behaviors that they can't deal with because I can't come to him until 1 o'clock. So I wonder if our budget, because of our enrollment, our budget, we get our funding from enrollment, and our enrollment is low, and people continue to withdraw their children out of the school. And it's a collective, because I work at the school, it doesn't, I'm not taking it like it's my kids or my school. So what I heard was they gonna cut the janitors. They gonna cut the janitors. If they have to cut anything, the next cut will be the janitors. So, mind you, I've been complaining about how filthy the school is ever since I walked in there. So, during the summer break, they didn't clean the school because I complained about that. I came in one morning in the summer and I heard it because there's a fan going because they put wax on the dirty floor. They're using the Carol Burnett mop. They're not using a professional mop. It's a Carol Burnett mop. I have a better mop for my house. So we're using the Carol. Oh, I just mean the little rag mop, So we're using the Carol Burnett mop. You got to know Carol Burnett. Anyway, so they're using that mop to clean a school, and it doesn't get anything. You're just slapping filthy dirt all over. Let this clean. The kids came into a dirty school in August because the janitors don't clean. They take out the trash. They might slap the mop around. They've never mopped any of the classrooms. Ever. One time I saw it look like somebody slapped a mop in spaces where there was not a rug. And it was literally a slap. Slap, 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 slap. And then they missed a whole walkway. So there's no mopping anywhere. The bathrooms are not clean. And so I'm a custodian on top of everything else. I was cleaning schools this break. So I know, and I took the test. I'm a custodian, so I know what's supposed to be done at a school. I took my test. So this school, because it's black, is disrespected. So they do the very, very bare minimum in cleaning. The most they'll do is take out the trash, unless it's in the summer and everybody's gone. Then I take out the trash because I don't want mice and stuff when I come back. So, the cleanliness is ridiculous. So to remove the custodian that doesn't do deep cleaning, then who's going to clean who's cleaning the schools? Because the kids are already pooping the urinals and they already don't care. Nobody respects the space. And another little note, then I'll let you go. They remodeled our shirts now. We get shirts and stuff, sweat jackets and stuff, maybe with the logos on it. They removed the Panther logo on the shirt. So it makes me wonder, if they turn it into maybe a school for Yemen or do the little Yemen symbols or maybe some Spanish symbols, will it be treated different than it does because it's Panthers and Panther Cubs? That's just my wonder, because right now it's just trash. It's awful. It's awful. But I say stuff every day because it should be clean. You know, even when we came back from Christmas break, I said, hey, you see that? I asked the $100,000 guy, I said, the guy that makes $100,000 and all the ladies wanted today because they wanted him to spend that money on them. I asked him, I said, hey, you see that spider web right there? He's like, no. So I'm like, let me see. You don't see it? And I walked over to it and I ran to the window. It was like a quilt. I was like, right here. He's like, yeah. Because in real life during the break, that's when you clean the schools. That's what I did. I went to San Leandro and I cleaned one of the schools that I used to work at, cleaned it. And it wasn't a lot of work to do because it stays clean, but because it's a black space, it's not respected. Cleanliness is at the bottom. Education is at the bottom. We just need the numbers to get some kind of salary so the people that they need to pay can get paid, just so everybody can continue to leech from the funding, because we are working on 4 years, because we already passed 1 year because the black principal that left renewed the charter school for 5 years, so now we're down to 4. So who's to say? We'll see. At the rate that it's going, it won't get its renewal, and if it does, it'll get remodeled and renewed. And it won't be any little Black Panther or none of that old foolishness on there. So, excuse the rambling. Thank you for taking my call, and I'll mute myself.
Black self-respect to Bay Area mom. Wow. Said she didn't want to take a day off because one of the little folks that she works with will miss a day of services if she doesn't, go in and do her shift. That is, wow. And I was thinking, she also said that her sick time, it just kicked in, right? And so she said that she has to use her sick time wisely. Now, as she was saying all that, this is Bay Area mom, Bay Area, California, Oakland, San Francisco. That was what I was going to ask. Have you been to Marcus Books that's the black bookstore in Oakland or San Francisco? She might be muted. But might be occupied. Either way, I'll ask again down the road. But Marcus Books, Oakland, San Francisco. Either hoodle. She was telling.
I went to Oakland. I'm sorry. I thought I pressed speaker. I did the Oakland one on Martin Luther King.
Oh, okay. Right on. Shout to Marcus Book. They are mentioned in the book that we are reading, Black Owned, The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore. San Francisco version and the Oakland version are mentioned in the book. They haven't come up yet though. She mentioned not being well in California, like, oh man, I'd seen, because they've had so many reports about what's happening in terms of health issues in California. So this is from the LA Times from 4 hours ago today, January 15. Flu cases surging in California as officials warn of powerful virus strain. California officials are issuing warnings about a new flu strain that has increased flu-related cases and hospitalizations statewide, with public experts across the nation echoing the alerts. A newly emerged influenza A strain, H3N2 subclade K, is already wreaking havoc globally and is affecting hospitals and clinics in California, the state's Department of Public Health announced Tuesday. The agency described the seasonal flu activity as elevated in the state. Data show that flu test positivity rates, which measure the percentage of patients who come in with flu symptoms and actually test positive for influenza, have been rising in recent weeks. However, they are still relatively low compared to last year's flu season. This is in the LA Times today. Like, man, that would be something to process. If I worked at a school or any place where they had lots of people, like, ooh-wee. Like, maybe even for safety reasons, maybe we should have a protocol. If people, are unwell and all that, what should we do? Like, so I don't know, you might get people riled up about, you're not doing vaccine, you're not going to put no. Woof. But that would be a lot to process if you're in California school system, and like I said, you got to weigh, like, do I have sick time? And man, lot to process. she also, let me see, she is so grateful. She was talking about cleaning up and getting the Carol Burnett mop, and then she said, I mean, just the little raggedy red mop. I'm so glad she corrected one of the components of metaphors, and why I say we should not use metaphors when we're discussing racism, counter-racism, or really the workplace especially. Some of these metaphors do not age well. All of the references and metaphors related to television. The Carol Burnett Show, the series went off the air 1978. Probably a good chunk at this point, probably a few generations of people who have no idea. Carol, what? What? I know they got the Netflix and stuff, but some people don't. They got so much new TV to watch, they don't go back and watch the oldie but goodies. But sometimes, yes, people, no idea. And I was like, what? Okay. And then I got it. Any hoodles. She was sharing with us that she's not well, which I was going to ask, but she revealed as we were proceeding, being a trooper even when she is unwell. Definitely care for self. Try to get as much rest as you can. Drink your fluids. I don't know. It would be a lot, especially with all the stuff that they got down there, because you might be a little bit more vulnerable to all their cooties now. So self-care. It seemed like the lack of concern for these children, like she was laying out like the children are not really being prepared to advance, to go to the middle school or what have you. And just I pointed this out consistently. Like, you hire all these folks who have all these degrees and tens of thousands of dollars spent getting all this education training, and then y'all don't have no type of planning. It seems, other than the LGBTQ protocols and parades and celebrations, beyond that, they don't have no sort of enthusiasm about planning nothing. Like, can we get a potty training program together? Yeah. She said, hey, if Bay Area mom, if she's not gonna come to work, we think she got the cooties or whatever, and she's gonna take a few days. Oh man, we got old knucklehead Leroy in the back. Keep the peace. Let him sleep. Boy, you put that on a shirt, or get E40 to keep the peace. Let him sleep. Keep the peace. Let him sleep. You can do it quiet, to keep the peace. Let him sleep. Boy, they got enthusiasm. We got jingles to let Leroy sleep. I thought you were supposed to be educated. Shh. Keep the peace. Ain't no peace if Leroy can't read. Black owned. The revolutionary life of the black bookstore. I mean, wow, that's the best plan that we can come, all that money and time and energy. If that's what you can get substantially less qualified people if that's all we're going to do. Like, hey, no criminal record, you can stay quiet while people sleep. Yeah. Man, you could get old people, like, you don't need to retire. You can be a teacher until you're 90, man. Like, unless you fall asleep. We can't have you. I guess that is keeping the peace if you go to sleep when Leroy sleeps. So we have to think about that. But yeah, you can teach forever if that's the motto, if that's what we're going to do. And it just, whatever. The students aren't being prepared. Or if this is the pipeline, they are being prepared. I don't know if the ukulele is, they had that in The Lion King, I think. My memory might be, because that's an old one too, but I think they had the ukulele there, and all that little guitar type thing, but I have no. And are they going to teach the students to play the ukulele? Is that a part of like meditation? You get frustrated and we do a little plucking and like, come on. I thought she said that they have the vapor sensors in the bathrooms at the middle school, but I was thinking I might have zoned out, or maybe I dozed off. I got a little teaspoon of narcolepsy or, something of that nature. But the middle school, like, what? That's like 12? Like, what? So, or maybe it's for the smoking. No.
We're vaping. The Yemens are selling, remember the Yemens are selling us the vape pens? They own the smoke shops. Okay, I'll mute. Oh, we're vaping in elementary too in San Leandro. They had to put the sensors in the elementary school in San Leandro too. Yeah, so we big smoke out here. I'll mute, sorry.
I guess I could, hey, it is in the archives. We did have a number, like not 2 or 3, but quite a few black people proud who said, hey, Gusty, I don't know what fool talk you got, but I was 13, 15, 16, and I smoked a lot of wacky tobacco, and I was on the honor roll and doing great. Maybe. They didn't produce a transcript, I will add. I don't remember any of them saying that, I was 12, 15, 16. We had THC vape pens by the pound, and we tooted all day long. Made the honor roll, great time, nothing wrong with my brain. I don't remember anybody saying that. I know no one said that because they didn't have no THC vape pens 20, 30, 40 years ago. Certainly not widely available in this part of the world. That right there, like, and some of us kept saying that when this conversation happened 12 years ago, that the cannabis that you know of, have in your brain computer from like Carol Burnett years, that day is dead and gone. This is like totally different. Nigh on 2000 vape pen. They just had that young fella, Mr. Graham. I'm saying Mr. 16. He died. Was stabbed to death in North Carolina over a THC vape pen. I don't even think they have recreational cannabis legal in North Carolina. But he was stabbed to death over a THC vape pen. She said in California they got the sensors in the middle and elementary schools. They've had recreational cannabis in California for 10 years. This is the result. They said this was not going to happen. They weren't going to have the dispensaries next to the schools and all this stuff wasn't going to be around. And blah, blah. That's what they said. Is that you think if you got 12, and we heard this from other black educators, the students that they work with, puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, pass. You think this contributes? You get the THC vape pen at 12, 10, 16. You think if you get access to that, you think that contribute? Hey, keep the peace. Let him sleep. Maybe even keep the peace and let him puff, puff, pass. Wow. Just wow. just wow. Even I didn't. I mean, with that now, hey, that does sound kind of frightening. If I'm elementary school, so I'm 10, 9, and this is what I got to prepare to go to the. But what? Well, I guess they got the censors at the elementary school too, but still, it can't be no better. Like, ugh. She said the children are fearful of going. Jesus, I would be too. And I can't read. They might not even have the same. They might not have a keep the peace, let them sleep policy at the middle school. What then? I ain't been prepared for nothing else. I don't know nothing else. Ooh, man. And then the cleanliness. She said, I remember that, she talked about going and cleaning up the school before, and they're filthy, and, you know, who cares? Just, you know, nigga, hey, this is the part of the preparation, because, you know, the penitentiary isn't so clean either. I checked. I said, let me see what the chatbots say. I said, is there research to document if predominantly black public schools are chronically unsanitary? It says, research consistently documents that predominantly black schools often face systemic challenges regarding facility conditions, though unsanitary is frequently framed with broader categories of deferred maintenance, environmental hazards, resource gaps. She said if we're going to fire anybody, we're going to let the janitors go. That's and I think she had told us before that's mostly non-white. I think that's mostly non-white, non-black people. But they still would be victims of racism, and it looks like they still would be last hired, first fired. Now get out of here. I don't think they have any affinity for she or black people. I think she had talked about that before as well. Either way, get the step in. Let's see. They have lots of data on this, like cleanliness attitude and research on cleanliness attitudes suggests that African American communities often express a higher concern for sanitation than their white counterparts. However, these concerns are often met with institutional barriers, such as lack of adequate funding for cleaning supplies or custodial staffing in predominantly black districts. And they talked about how this can exacerbate health conditions. Asthma is number one. I did not know that when I learned that this years ago. They said the number one reason for absenteeism in this part of the world, I can't breathe, asthma. And then you dump people in a school that is chronically unsanitary. Come on. I do, and she's talked about this for years. The sanitary conditions at the school, and the same thing, like, and this is just like with the THC and the cannabis. We have had other black educators talk about the lack of cleanliness in the schools, their personal efforts to see if it's been legions. I think even Z's mommy did the same thing, and she's also in California, although she's a little bit further south. Same thing. Like folks outside of California, widespread, even when they take personal steps. I'm going to at least clean, my classroom, my little area, what have you. The rest of the school, you can't even use the restroom. Like, oh my God, like, come on. How are you supposed to learn? And what does that say about our value? The children internalize all of that. They don't even care enough about us to clean up the school. Why, we are trash. We are trash. Let's see. They gonna dump the janitors. Like, whew, man, that is California going to school. That right there, though, with everything that's happening in terms of the health, and it is so difficult, but man, it would have to be something like, wow, they're saying that they're having hospital surges with regards to health and the flu in California. Like, it can't just be business as usual. Like, if you see someone sneezing and sniffling and all the rest of it, hey, wait a minute. We could get the whole school sick. And we're like, wait a minute, that we can't start 2026 that way. Like, that's what consistently it might be. Black self-respect. Let's make sure, like, safety. And then personally, for Bay Area Mom, take good care of your self. They'll put us in these old lame positions so often where if they don't give us any sick days or the year just starts, and they'll give you like 3 sick days. Something like that for a whole 12 months. Like, gee, come on now. Take excellent care as best you can. Like, try and get some good, fresh, organic ginger. Drink lots of fluids. Get lots of rest. It would be do as much as you can to promote your health and well-being down there in California, especially in that environment where so many people and children are all touchy and grabby and all the rest of it. Like, self-care. Much obliged for sharing. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. You have commentary to share. Proceed.
Good evening, Gus. May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to verify, tonight is the workplace racism portion, or is that Friday?
It's right now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to share something. I'm a little under the weather. I wanted to share something with you. I've been calling in for a while due to the issues at my job. And, Gus, I thought I was going to have a breakthrough. I did apply, for a different position actually last month. And it was still within the government, however, a different entity than what I'm working with now. I was even able to kind of negotiate a higher salary, and I was, really excited because, all the stress I've had to deal with, and trying to also hang in there until I can get vested. Well, I got a call on Monday telling me that, that they had given me a conditional, offer, that I had, basically they'd chosen me as the candidate. And I had a breath of fresh air around the office. I didn't say anything. I didn't tell a soul. I didn't use any references from my current place of employment or anything. But, I kind of noticed people were kind of looking at me kind of strange, kind of funny. Again, that's neither here nor there. But, I'm kind of perceptive to pick up on things, but still didn't say anything. Today, I, opened my email. I was very depressed, and I got an email from that government agency, and, they emailed me and, basically telling me that, they're rescinding, my offer, basically they're evaluating, a departmental reorganization, and them not filling the position, at that time. I was really depressed. I don't know. I still am. I don't know if it's unjust networking, but I'm just, I've been the one calling in telling you about, my male supervisor and, how I have tried to apply internally. And I don't want to be paranoid, Gus, and say, that, he had his hands in this matter. But to go from being, conditionally employed on a Monday to, 3 days later, getting an email saying that your offer has been rescinded is real heartbreaking. I was thinking I was going to get a chance to go to a different plantation. And honestly, with how everything lined up, it was going to work perfectly because, as I told you, I probably got about 2 weeks left now to be vested with this current place. And, you know, I had plans to give my notice at the end of the month and, you know, be, you know, out of here next month to a new place. But, you know, Gus, I'm just finding it so hard, and I'm just so discouraged by everything, because I thought, you know, everything had lined up. And like I said, I didn't do anything different, you know, at work. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't mention it to anyone. I said nothing. And, you know, I noticed, like I said, people were kind of eyeballing me. And so anyway, that's not positive news to share, but I just said I wanted to, you know, just share it. And I talked to my friends, and I'm just going to keep trying. But it's very, very depressing, because they even checked the references. They asked for my references. I believe it was maybe a couple days after the interview. They checked them because one of my references said, hey, you know, they reached out to us. So references cleared, and that job offer is just gone. So, again, don't know if it's unjust networking. I sense that it is. But I just wanted to share that unfortunate update. Thank you for listening.
Be not discouraged. Dr. Welsing infamously said that, or I think courageously said that back on the broadcast, and kind of championing us. The system of white supremacy is depressing. And it certainly can, you know, cause you to hang your head. But we do have an assignment, and I do appreciate you sharing. I've said that for years, like so many aspects of workplace racism and just the system of white supremacy in general. It is not fun to talk about, hey, I was excited, thought I was going to get a new job, and then whammo, they snatched the rug right out from under me. You know, Monday I'm, you know, thinking I got it, and then Thursday, and it is very, very common. And I am certain that you did not, you know, go around boasting to your friends and colleagues in the world, I got me a new job, I'm gonna be away from you suckers, and I'm sure it was none of that. Not saying a word, total codification about, you know, how she said she didn't even use those folks as references, so I had not said anything, but she said I sensed something was different, how the people were treating me, how they looked at me. We have heard this from other non-white people when they also were out looking for a job, and they said the same thing. And I believe everyone. They said, hey, I was not out bragging, boasting, telling other people that I work with about this job, or that I was looking for a job, or that I potentially had a new job. Shh. Closed my mouth, did not say a word, but they said it seemed like the white people that they worked with, they knew something. I think we've even heard some people said they said something like, oh man, heard you got a new job offer. And it's like, whoa, because I didn't, you know, they said the same thing. I didn't tell this person. I didn't tell them anything about it. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't use them as a reference. Nothing. Whoa. In the system of white supremacy racism, white people, they are Voltron. I'm doing the same thing because that went on. They actually have remade Voltron a number of times, but still, explaining white people network, period, full stop. Matter of fact, we read Edward Baptist, The Half Has Never Been Told, top 10 in the Catherine Massey Book Club. He talked about how race soldiers on the plantation, they would swap tips on how to torture black people. White people swap information like no, and she said this is like a government job. So, oh man, those white government employees, they chit-chat and chit-chat and chit-chat and gossip all the time. I guess if I was really going to be crass about all of this. The young lady who has dialed in and talked to us before, one of the reasons that she was looking forward to getting out of here was because she's been subjected to all this sexual abuse from the white dude that's there. Like, she's talked about how other white men will come in, she's doing business, professional, and he's in the other office making noise and mad, almost like, that's my nigger woman, you get away, what are you doing in there? That type of thing, where she tried to relocate and get a different office, and he denied. You stay right here. I need to have my eye on you. I want you right in front of me. Like, I think that's important context for all. He's putting notes on her car and putting notes on her desk and scoping out where she parked at. Just all of this totally incorrect race soldier stalker behavior. We get to now, and she said it seemed like people knew. They probably did. We've heard this many times. I could be wrong. Maybe they didn't know it. Maybe this was just their typical old racism and, no count nigger woman, we didn't want her here anyway. Could be. But you said, and it sounded like, it seemed like multiple white people knew. It seemed, unless I misheard, you can, set me straight if I didn't hear it correctly, but it seemed like multiple people kind of had a sense like, this nigger woman is trying to get away from us. Okay. I just don't, hey, Gavin DeBecker, the gift of fear. You generally do not call, I don't ever remember you calling in and saying, everybody in the office, did something to me this week, Gus, and everybody in the office, they were kind of looking at me crazy and saying, it's always been that one dude. This is the only time in all those years where it's been everybody was kind of side-eyeing me and, being a little aloof around me, and at the exact moment that I get this conditional job offer. I've heard that before, and especially a closed circle like a government job, I think it's very reasonable to suspect that, they probably did find out, even if it was just a casual, oh, what do you think about this gal? We're thinking about, bringing her over to our department. She had good references. I saw that and especially because it might have just been as casual as she gave references. She didn't list you all. She's worked over there all that time. Do you have any problems with her? And, they might have been caught off guard, and they might have been truthful, like, oh, no, that nigger gal, she's been great, shows up on time and everything. She's easy on the eyes and, all the rest of it. Oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. Once they get back, do you know, nigger gal thinks she moving to it. Did you? And what, man, that's why Mr. Fuller has that in the 10 stops. White people gossip mostly about their niggers. So I think they probably did say something. And I've heard that. That's why I'm not even saying you did anything incorrect, but that's why Fuller says, do not, if you get another job or you get in a situation where you can leave a job, that is not the time. I'm going to go and tell off everybody here, and you'll get a piece of my mind, and none of that, because they are going to go and tell everybody, so they're going to make it impossible for you to get another job. They're going to go and tell all their cousins and homies, especially if this is like a niche type of government, niche type of, oh yeah, we're going to go and tell everybody. Don't you hide that no good nigger and Leroy's trifling and he stole all our paper clips and ran. They might have said something. They might not have even said something. It could have just been, what they said. We reorganized and blah, blah, blah. And, Doge messed over our funding, and that could also be true. But for sure, I suspect that those white people, they found out, and oh man, our nigger woman is trying to leave, even if it was just the head white man that you told us about. Like, she tried to get a different office moving away from me, and I snafu'd that. Man, she gonna try again and think she gonna go. Okay. That, I could see that too, easily, especially if this is a white dude who's worked there a while. He's powerful and knows other white people. Yeah, I could see that.
And he's a director, so he's pretty high up. But Gus, I thought because I was trying to go outside of, I wasn't even going to want to work for the district. I was going to the municipal level. And I guess I know you listen, to us. I mean, what do you recommend, I guess, in these situations? Because I honestly, like I said, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't use any reference there. So, and again, it could be a legitimate reorganization at the new job, but it just hurts. And I'm trying not to be depressed and, you know, going to work with my head up. Because like I told you, my goal was to just so I could vest and have my retirement, and then find a new job, because, you know, that way I would have that locked down for sure. And, you know, I wouldn't doubt, you know, if they may have, you know, figured out like that's what I was trying to do, and they may try to pull some, you know, stuff these last couple of weeks while I vest. But I mean, you know, it just, I guess I just don't know what to do, because I've never, in all my years of applying for work, I've never had a job offer to be like rescinded, especially, you know, after they, you know, check my references. So it's really, I know it's a system of white supremacy, and I shouldn't be like surprised and downtrodden, you know, talking to you about it. But at the same time, I just think like, okay, you know, what could have happened in, you know, 3 days for that to happen, and then having to go back to work and, you know, deal with this environment of, you know, the stress. And I told you, I've tried to apply internally, and that guy, you know, will not approve my applications. You know, he just makes it difficult. And like I said, the whole job is messed up. I don't want to cuss, but it's really messed up. And I guess I just go venture to ask you, I mean, what should I do next? Because I don't want to stay here. I don't want to make a career out of this. My goal was to vest and to leave, and like I said, I don't want to just resign without a plan. I have some savings, but obviously, you know, I don't want to just leave without a plan. But that really just kind of destroyed me, because it was more money. It was better benefits. Culture probably would have still been white supremacy, but, you know, at least I guess you're getting, you know, some extra nickels, and, you know, the sick and pay and all that stuff. The insurance would have been 10 times better than what I have now. So I just feel like, you know, I fumbled, you know, that opportunity, and I just, I can't give up, Gus, but it's just, it's very depressing.
Well, I definitely don't think that you fumbled the opportunity. As I said, from what you told us, you didn't do anything incorrect in terms of I guess you handled the interview great. You said the opportunity was there, and then they rescinded the offer. White people can do that. If anything, I would say take this as a lesson, because privileged black male, I have had job offers rescinded. I think at least one where I can say where I did not do anything incorrect. I was thinking of that I had multiple, but that is not true. I had one that was paused that I did eventually get the job. They just had a delay. I don't know, something goofy where I did not get like, oh, you're hired. It was like, we'll have to wait like months. But I did eventually get the job, and right on. But I have had a job offer rescinded where I do think I can say same thing. I did not do anything incorrect. I didn't go around bragging to my current employees, I'm leaving you suckers behind. None of that. They, you know, reorganized funding or whatever the case may be. But I would say you definitely did not fumble, not at all. I would say I do think correct code in terms of counter-racism and just managing expectations so that you're not disappointed, because you can do everything correct and racists can just come in and fire us in 5 seconds or rescind a job offer or whatever, until you have actually, I've signed, here's your new workstation, boom, 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 like, okay, I am hired. Like, I would not, no excitement, no nothing. This is okay. We'll see if all of this materializes or if racists have something in store for me before I actually get the job and get my first paycheck. And then even once you do get the job, I could be fired in the next 5 minutes. I think Barry and Mom said it plain, And that is true. Just being very mindful of that, the whole time through. You don't have to do anything incorrect. That's just the system of white supremacy. I would say you can have your head down for a moment, because that is like, man, to think that you are extricating yourself from a really terroristic situation and having this race soldier, lecherous white dude, stalking you and putting notes down and all this nonsense. To get away from that and to improve things, to get a better salary and benefits and all the rest of it, and then to have that totally and without reason. I guess you said they're moving things around or what have you, but just mysteriously taken away, where it also seems that maybe your coworkers found out, maybe they influenced this, maybe they didn't. At minimum, it seems that they were not pleased about their resident nigger woman trying to better herself and leave them again. So I would say be not discouraged, Dr. Welsing, and I would say just continue if that plan about executing your retirement. I would say if you can stick to that, like, man, because you've been there some years and putting your time, your benefits and everything, like, if your mental health will allow, if you can maintain that, I would say, hey, see if you can soldier on, if you can figure out a way to kind of codify things to do that. If you can continue to, if you find other opportunities and you think it's worth the time and energy to apply, if, there's a chance that this might not happen again, if it's interference or whatever, where you can actually get a different position, try. Be not discouraged. But I do think this can happen to black people, where we think we got it, and then they snatch it from us at the last minute. Like, that is, race soldiers love doing this sort of thing to black people, and the Voltron aspect is very real. So I would say do not blame yourself. If you can, see if you can continue to execute your retirement plan. I guess this might change things a little bit, but see if you can. Things are so, as you said, with things the way they are with the economy and everything right now, I would try to execute a plan. If you have to take 30 days or so, just even to take some time, so it's not rash, to take some time where you can move away from the hurt from all of this and being rightfully discouraged about all of this. Give yourself some time, even if you could take a day or so off from work, like that would be great. And just take some time to heal, play with your son, eat some healthy food, like talk to people that, refresh you. And then you can kind of think, like, do I think I can stay here and execute my plan to retire? Do I think I can, you can write it out just that way. Do I think I can, will there be other opportunities for me to apply to a different department that I can execute my retirement that way? Is this something that I'm going to have to just, hey, this is not going to be worth my sanity to be in this environment for X amount of months or whatever it would be under the same conditions? You can be honest with yourself about, what, now that this is not an opportunity moving forward with what you've learned, what do you think is the path that you can execute moving forward? What's going to be best for you, best for your offspring, best for your mental health, best for your career? What'll be best for you moving forward? Safety, all of that. And after you give yourself some time to kind of recuperate from all of this.
Okay. Thank you, Gus. I will take your advice. And like I said, I only have about 2 weeks until I vest for retirement. I'm too young, obviously. I'm too young to retire right now, but I'm going to, like you said, just I need to have better expectations to just, don't believe it until you're in the chair. And even once you get hired, you still could be let go the next day. And, you just don't know. But I just wanted to share that update with you. And I'm going to keep fighting the good fight and still put applications out there and just see what comes out there. But thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. Be not discouraged. If we have any listeners, if you have any suggestions for our young lady, and she said she was vesting for retirement. My bad. I was, I guess, excited, thinking, oh man, she was right there at the finish line. My fault. If folks have any suggestions for how she can navigate this, in fact, do we have any folks where they had a job offer rescinded? Because I suspect that this is kind of common, whether it's a deliberate, we just love messing over black people, or if they, claim something happened and, Ted embezzled all the funds, so now we can't hire nobody. Sorry, we did vet you and called all your references and everything, but Ted embezzled all the funds, so we can't hire nobody. I think that sort of thing is very common. If we've had folks who have had a job offer rescinded, where they said they were going to hire you, and then for whatever reason, now you never got the job. If we have anybody who's had that happen, you don't have to give us all the details if you don't want to. If it's bad, I know it's painful. I got it. If you don't want to go into all the details, that's fine. You can just, yes, I've had a job offer rescinded. Moving forward, that's totally fine. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, if you have commentary to share, you can let us know, and then let us know, have you had a job offer rescinded or other suggestions for our young lady we just heard from. Victim in New Jersey should be with us. Tumbling Dice too. Have you ever had a job offer rescinded or suggestions?
No. I have to think on that. I really don't have any suggestions for that, and that's real discouraging, especially when you have your hopes up and something like that happens, But man, I wish all the best. I was confused. She said vested. Does that mean she's waiting to secure her retirement?
She said no. Oh, yeah, you got it.
Yeah. It's basically just whenever, like, you have to do a certain amount of time. Once you do that time, you will be able to collect your retirement at whatever your retirement age is. So you just have a certain amount of years to meet. Once you're there, then let's say once you're older, then that company is liable to have to pay a pension to you for life.
Got you. Okay, because I was at two of my jobs. Like one job, because the job I'm at now is I have the 401k, if I said it correctly. Two jobs before that, they had pensions, which they don't have anymore. So one job was 10 years for me to be vested. The other job was 5. So okay, so that's good. That's good. Hope you reach that goal. So Gus, I'm calling to just do a report, give you an update. Remember I told you about my cousin, female nurse, in a school, and with the nurse RN who suggested that she gives the child the expired medicine. So they had a meeting. This was a while ago. They had a meeting. The superintendent of the schools was pulled in this, so it was that serious. And the white nurse was let go. And my cousin informed me, she says that they had a meeting with the principal, the superintendent, her, the nurse, not sure who else was there. And she said the white nurse, as my cousin was giving her recollection of events, and my cousin said she went in her pocket to retrieve something. I'm not sure, what it was, but it was so the nurse on the opposite side of the white nurse on the other side of the table, she got startled. And my cousin says, the white nurse says, "Oh my God, I feel threatened." And my cousin like, "Wait a minute, I'm just going in my pocket to retrieve." I forget what she said she was retrieving, maybe a phone or something, just to, show evidence of the event that occurred. So the superintendent and the principal was also startled, like, okay, what's wrong with this lady? So she tried to, say that she felt threatened, as if my cousin was about to leap over the table and grab her up. So I guess at that time, the superintendent and the principal, they had enough of this white woman, and they just let her go. So that, so it did work out for my cousin. And they did offer her the position. I'm not sure the language or the titles, but I know, my cousin isn't a RN. I think it's like an LPN, or she had, but she's a nurse, but she's under that. So the principal let her know, listen, if you get 2 more years of nursing, which I think it would take for her to acquire the RN title, she got the job, so they got rid of the tacky white lady. This year is going to be the first year that we observe MLK's birthday. So in the contract that we have, this year starts, so I think it was a trade-off. I'm not sure what was the trade-off. I'm not sure if it was Memorial Day. No, I think we still have Memorial Day off, but it was a trade-off. I'm not sure. So we do have MLK birthday off. So 2 days ago, I go into the office, get my paperwork, and they ask, are you working or not working? So, so they give you, extra pay plus holiday. So, I said, you know what? No, I'm taking off. As I'm getting older, Gus, I'm starting to value my downtime, especially if I can get paid. And for some reason, even when, I do work holidays and with extra pay, with the taxes coming out your check and the overtime, sometimes I don't even really see a difference in my check. So, yeah, I'm taking the day off. So, now, I told you my last job, I had a coworker who would always gripe. I think this was like 2 jobs, was it? But they was just always griping about MLK, him having the day off. So, but this particular job, white male, older white male. So I'm walking to my truck and I'm like, hey, what's going on? We're cordial, we talk. So I say, hey, you taking off? No hidden agenda for me asking. I just asked because this was the first time we were getting this day off. So I said, yeah, so you taking off? He said, yeah, of course. I said, okay, cool, because I was contemplating, but no, I'm not taking off. So he stops me, looks me in the eye. He said, every black person in this job should take off. I said, all right, white man, thank you. Thank you for letting me know the importance of MLK birthday. I appreciate it. So, but I really just kind of thought, too, when we talk about racism and all white people ain't bad, all white people ain't racist. See, that right there would cause the confusion. I am confused, but I would say I am less confused than others. So, somebody would take that and go, oh my God, that's John Brown. He's really interested in the black brothers taking off the MLK birthday. Right on. So I just kind of chuckled. I mean, I was indifferent. It was just noted. I'm like, okay, all right, thank you. So that was that. In closing, so I have another report. There was a black male associate of mine. I got him a job at the company. A week into him working, he got hurt. He had to have knee surgery. Matter of fact, he had the same injury I acquired at the job. So I gave him the proper information. So he was working. He was covered under workman's comp, So I informed him. I said, okay, when you are on workman's comp, you are entitled to extra compensation. Gave him a lawyer that I used, and he did attain a lawyer, and and it was lucky that he did that. Now, normally this injury takes up to 6 months to fully heal, especially if you're coming back to a physical job. It wasn't even 6 months. And it was maybe under 6 months, 5 or 4.5. I mean, 4 months or close to 5. And they didn't clear him to go back to work, but they stopped compensating him. So, you know, he called me, he panicked, he said, hey, you know, Victim from New Jersey, you know, they haven't even cleared me to go back to work, and I guess they scheduled the last doctor's visit, and that doctor would have cleared him. But until then, they gave him a date of a month later. They still had to pay him up until he seen a doctor. So I said, listen, you already have a lawyer. Lawyer name was Vince. I said, call Vince. You know, so Vince contacted Workman's Comp. A few days later, the check started coming back. You know, so then as he was coming to his last checkup to be cleared to come back to work, my company informed him that they were no longer, he was no longer employed. You know, they told him they let him go, and that, you know, he can apply later on in the future. I am not one to try to advocate for a company, so I don't know why they did it, you know, because some people would say, well, you know, he was only there for a week, he got hurt, he's a liability. But, you know, he didn't make his 90 days, he wasn't in the union, so they can technically do that, you know. So that was another dilemma, that was another problem that he was facing. So I have a female friend who worked for unemployment. Luckily, he was able to get unemployment, and with the lawyer and the extra compensation for workman's comp, you know, that will be $30,000. That's the cap in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, because they compensate you based on body parts. But, you know, we're in a system of racism, white supremacy, and these corporations and companies have the power to lobby state and federal governments to work in their favor. So there is a cap on what you can sue workman's comp for. But however, you know, he was still compensated for the whole 6 months of workman's comp. He also should get $30,000 from the workman's comp lawsuit, and he was eligible to get unemployment because he was let go from a previous job before I got him this job, and that job was tacky too. He was in one accident. He was with this company for maybe 10 years, and he had one accident. They let him go. He told me about a lot of mistreatment. As we talk about the Voltron effect, there is a high population of people who are classified as Hispanic. A lot of these people are related, and they would often, you know, team up on this black male. And also the owner of this company was very tacky, you know, no loyalty. I mean, this man has been with you for 10 years. He has one accident, and you let him go. So unemployment has a program where he can upgrade his CDL license. So, and he is in his 50s, so unemployment is going to pay for him to get his passenger's endorsement. So he's going to start driving buses. So I was just very happy I was able to assist him through that process. And, you know, he's married, he has a house, you know, he has children. So, you know, he's going to be just fine. With that, I'll close.
Black self-respect. That is, man, black self-respect. That is spectacular. Wow. That is, that is bravo. Help out other black people in the area of labor. Like, bravo. Victim in New Jersey. We still have tumbling dice, but man, and especially if you can, you know, help someone get certification or training. I guess he already had his CDL, so to upgrade his CDL so that he can, you know, go and continue on in his career and take care of himself and his attempted family. Like, wow, that, again, same thing we just said now. There's no loyalty. You can be fired in the next 5 minutes. Easily. You don't even have to have an accident. You can be fired in the next 5 minutes. Definitely do not expect any so-called loyalty in the system of white supremacy, even if you are really, really competent at your job. He said, victim in New Jersey, before he got to helping out a privileged black male, he said that they're going to have a MLK, they'll have the day off. I guess they negotiated that for their workers and such. He said that it would normally be a lot of tackiness from one person or so, one white person or so on the job. I just thought, man, they'll probably still get it in before and or after either or they'll just wait and save it all for next month, so they'll dump it on you for Negro History Month. But man, I remember he talked about that too. Like, man, what's the gripe about getting paid to not have to work? It's for that Negro. Come on. They got the day off, which he said he is going to have some gratitude. Hey, I think Dr. Trav had said valuing time and energy more than money and things. It's even less and less that you can buy with the money now anyway. So time. You can always get more nickels. You cannot, none of us, get more time. Even the energy that we have is finite. Let's see. And has got to go back and get his cousin, he said, with the whole nursing saga that we heard about before and being encouraged to give out the expired medication at the school, encouraged by the white nurse. We were talking about nurses and the strike going on in New York already today. And he said that the ramifications, or after the wrap-up and investigation, one, we heard, I think, keeping count, this is our 4th aggressive Negra of the day. I think he said his cousin was going to pull out her phone where maybe she had some notes, documentation, dates and times, and Nurse Ratchet, the white woman, says, "Oh my God, she's got a razor." So go to that. I said, "What is she? What? What?" Aggressive black people in the workplace. I mean, wow. That's why I say you have to keep your composure. Don't raise your voice. Calm, even tone, not yelling, cursing, name calling. None of that. Even if you don't do any of those things, you can still be branded a raping, aggressive black person, which apparently happened with his cousin. She pulled out of, you see, she was going to cut me with that phone. Yeah, okay, they let the white person go, which is stunning. White people don't get fired. They get transferred. So she's probably coming to a school medical center near you. He said that they did say that they will offer her the job, black young lady, once she gets her RN. Takes about 2 years of training. I said, hey, maybe she can ask if they would be willing to help pay for that schooling if she stays and works there, and maybe she gets the job and works there, whatever, few years after she gets her RN. Like, they have a lot of, especially if this is a public school, they have lots of programs and things that are set up like that. Like, man, that 2 years, I'm sure it's not cheap. Hey, maybe they got some sort of grant program or something, help, give me a few extra nickels to pay for this schooling, and then we got a deal. Everybody should check to see if they got those sort of programs if you work someplace where they'll help pay if any extra schooling or training, certification that will help you get more nickels, and they'll help pay for it. Take advantage. Let's see. With the MLK, the sick white brother who came up saying, I think every Negro employee here, they should take the day off, MLK Day. That's one of those where, hey, nothing need be said. Or that's even one where it might even be an interesting counter-racist experiment, kind of a benign one. You could just say, you know what, well, that's interesting. I'm going to send you an email follow-up with this one. Just the suggestion that you gave, the niggers here should take the day off for MLK Day, and just see what happens. Does he say anything like that in the future? And email exactly what he said. If he said, I think all the black employees should take MLK Day off, I would email that. This was your suggestion for the black employees here? And just see what he says, because, now we got it on email. Theoretically, we could send this to all the black employees. Maybe this is something they should seriously consider. You think? See if he'll do it again. And this isn't reporting. We're not going to HR. Just, you said the black employees should take the day off. Maybe they should think about this. No? Okay. But that's, hey, silence. You don't even, he's not even worthy of that. Sick white brother, indeed. Let's see. And he said the Mexicans were not helpful to, I believe it was his cousin, black male, who ended up helping get the additional training so he can upgrade his CDL. Do not expect any alliance, courtesy, friendship from any non-white people in the workplace if they are classified as black, if they are non-white, period. Do not think that they will have your best interest at heart. They're going to be looking out for you, and we're in it against whitey. None of the above. Even if you're working with all black people, do not expect that they're going to be your homies. That is not the environment of the system of white supremacy. But bravo on helping another black person. I guess that would be maybe not the intent of his commentary, but maybe also encourage safety in the workplace. Like, I don't know what the circumstances were with the black brother, but be safe in the workplace. I've been saying it anyway, but man, because it seemed like an accident, that might just be an excuse. Like, Leroy had an accident, you're fired. So, man, be a stickler about safety in the work, because that came up twice. He even said that then when he got the second attempt, and he was still under the probationary period, and had an accident, they said, see, you had an accident, that's going to be, yep, you're not going to be safe. Man, safety first. I talk about that all the time. Get a reputation. That's one thing I can say about No Count Leroy. He is safe. Talks about safety all the time and being safe and wearing a seatbelt in the vehicle and safety this and safety that. And he is a coon. But he does talk about safety, and it seemed like he, mostly be doing safe things. Hey, bravo, you still get fired in 5 minutes, but safety. But black self-respect, bravo for helping out another black person, kind of getting their career right. Everything is kind of set up for it to be that, especially with black males. Like, oh man, you about to be underemployed and unemployed and unemployable and all the rest of it. So bravo on helping out an attempted black dad to get things hopefully moving in the correct direction. We'll see if he gets out operating the bus, and good job, good benefits. Hopefully that'll be his 2026 and beyond. Let's see. Make sure or give the name of the North Carolina teenager who was stabbed to death at North Forsyth High School in North Carolina December 9 was Cameron Graham. THC vape pen. As I said, I don't even think recreational cannabis is legal in North Carolina, but Tumbling Dice did have his hand up, so make sure we get him in before we wrap up. Tumbling Dice with us as well, sir.
Hi, good evening, Gus. Thanks for letting me share. I had an issue. I came back from vacation, and I got drug tested 4 times between last week and this week. And then my supervisor told me that one of the arch receiver call her up and ask her, because he's her supervisor, and she called her up to ask her, hey, did we get him this time? Did he came back dirty? So I got four times in less than a little bit over a week and a half.
They didn't find no crack or fentanyl or speed or PCP. They didn't find none of that in your urine?
No, Gus, no.
Dang, old Tumbling Dice. They had said he was on the bus, he was shooting the dice and all the rest. You're supposed to have the mad dog, and that we just had New Year. You're supposed to have been out partying and cutting a fool. You're supposed to have a whole system full of weed and reefer and everything. They tested him 4 times. 4, and then he said, had folks sitting around. Did we get him? We got him. We didn't get him. We're gonna test. We're gonna get him. Just wait. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him tomorrow. Black male 1. I guess I should stop laughing. 1. Sobriety would be best. One thing I can gleefully, hey, we say that every program, and the last 30 days, I began some programs. I said we got those sobriety checkpoints and all the rest of it. School said, we have sobriety checkpoints all the time, especially for our colored boys who work here. We got sobriety checkpoints every day. Gonna test your urine tomorrow again too, boy. What? And they got whole books and studies about this. We had Clarence Lucene as a guest on the program years ago. He's written many books about racism. One of them is called Pipe Dream Blues. He talks about racism and so-called war on drugs, particularly in the D.C. area. But at the beginning of the book, he talks about how black people, those drug tests, we are more susceptible to faulty drug tests for lots of reasons. It could even be that you're around someone else who is consuming and it gets in your hair and you end up getting a false test, and just lots of anyway, but lots of that. I'd even said for years, I said, hey, how do we know all of the, like, white bus drivers in his case, how do we know that all the white school bus drivers, are they testing their urine? Do they have to, hey, Willie, I don't know, we're going to test you again. And do you have, when Willie goes to test it, does Willie have people sitting around? We're going to get Willie this time. We're going to get him. We got him. Yep, I knew he was on that fentanyl. I seen him nodding and oh, yeah. Do they have that? Like, man, I even remember Vernon Maxwell, highly melanated black male, said that he played college basketball at the University of Florida, unless my memory is bad. And he said that while on the team, same thing, they drug tested him all the time. And he said it was supposed to be random. It was not supposed to be some sort of thing where we going to get him. He said, and it was 15 people on the team. The way it was supposed to work is that they just pull a name out of the hat. Okay, we got you this time. Go do the drug test. He said it was like his name was in the hat 10 times, and some people didn't have their name in the hat at all. And they did an investigation, and it turns out that was what was happening, where he was like the only one being tested. Come on. Come on, that's the sort of thing, like it could be the double whammy of racism. It could be that we got old Tumbling Dice here. We testing him for crack every day. We might have white crackheads on the staff driving the bus. Have they been tested? Nope. Double whammy. And we still gonna rummage through your car at the end of the day, see if you done ran off with that weed whacker. Black male privilege. So, hey, much I'm glad Tumbling Dice, because that would have been real bad based on what the young lady shared with us, where they, did the old whiplash. Oh, you got it, and no, yeah. Based on what she shared, if then he had dialed in to say that they, made him something bogus to take his job away. But thankfully, 4 drug tests later, race soldiers are still there. If anything, you can put those two together. The young lady who dialed in, she said, hey man, on my government job, the white people seemed upset that I was trying to take a job in a different department. Mad about it. Tumbling Dice said he heard the folks on his job. He went to go give urine. Well, I'm gonna do Mary Kay. He went to express urine. Did we get him this time? We got. You see, he had fentanyl, crack, reefer, something. Test him again tomorrow. These are the white people we work with. No one was happy for a young lady, a black mom trying to advance her career. She didn't say anybody was happy for her, proud of her. Tumbling Dice, we trying to get this nigga fired. Stole our weed whacker, remember? Woo! These are the white people we work with, man. That is that in my view, that helps keep those expectations in mind. Like, we are not working with friends, home, even the meritocracy. That's not, you can't be meritocracy if you're working with people who are willfully rooting on your demise. And they don't have a reason to. It's not like Tumbling Dice is a drug addict who needs help, who would be a danger to the children. That's not what this is. We just want to get this nigga out of here. Lie, cheat, make up thing, whatever. We just want to get this nigga out of here. These are the white people we work with, and it is very important to remember that, not minimize that, front and center. Really, that's why you have to be codified every day about everything you do. That's why I don't go to the bar and I'm going to drink you under. That's why I don't go get every THC pen or any other new fad that they say is medicinal and healthy and all that. I don't get all the mushrooms. They might want me to express urine every day of the week. I said that last week. I said for some jobs, you better check us. For some jobs, they say we want you to express urine for us. You have to express urine or they fire you. So you got to know that. They say you got to express urine 5 days a week. Drink a lot of water. Sobriety would be best. If we got any folks who got suggestions for a young lady who dialed in, one, if we have any other folks who got a job offer rescinded, email, because I think that is common, especially for black people. And you can tell us if you think you did something, to warrant it. Maybe you went out and got drunk, raped a white woman, whatever. Or if you don't think, I behaved regular, week or regular few days or what have you, and for whatever, or if they gave a reason that was not you, please let us know. But that's my suspicion. I think many victims of racism have had a job offer rescinded where they were not at fault. Just my hunch. I could be wrong. Anywho, sobriety would be best, and we'll be here tomorrow with 2 days of workplace racism. Char Adams' brand new book, Black Owned, The Revolutionary Life of the Black Book Store. In fact, I'm so in love with this book. One, I did not know that the main theme of this book is that white people do not want black people reading about racism. That is a crime that white people have punished for 200 plus years. That's one of the main themes of the book and how it starts, and it just continues. Ugh. And then the attack on black entrepreneurs, black bookstore owners specifically. And I said, Mr. Fuller and Dr. Welsing are kind of in the background of this because their books and their talks were at so many black bookstores. Anywho, that's tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Can't wait. In fact, I said, man, we are reading 3 books in a row on COINTELPRO. I can't even brag because I didn't plan it that way, but wow. 3 in a row on, and one of those being how COINTELPRO targeted black bookstores. That's why Dr. Welsing say reading is more important than watching television. White people do not want us reading. That's it, Creator. We ask that you remind us. Stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us, Neely Fuller Jr., his 10 stops included stop gossiping. White people do lots of gossiping about niggers in the workplace. You hear she got that new job? You hear she trying to move away from us? You heard he was smoking reefer over New Year? Get his urine. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. C.O.W.S signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my condition. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.